Welcome, everybody, to the One Up Yours podcast for Friday, October the 3rd. Last time in the United States for me for a couple of weeks. This is Garnet Lee. Joining me today are Shane Bettenhausen, John Davison, and you want to be special. How would you like to be introduced?
Just by my name, please.
Oh, and by my name, please.
Do you know my name? It's Zoe.
I was
Zoe Flower.
I was going to make you special guest or something. I'm fading in and out. Andrew must be monkeying with the levels because I suddenly went dead flat in my ears. Anyway, that's Zoe, and Zoe works with John at what they've been playing and
what they've been playing. What they might have been playing. I don't know.
What they used to have been playing. I don't know. Whatever. I have another half. I have another half a cork to throw.
Well, and we have some media training if you'd like the pitch.
What?
We media trained her, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
We got some media training people in, and so we're ready for TV.
All right.
Cleaned up her potty mouth.
She's freaking vulgar.
So what did media training involve?
Anything right now?
They locked us in a room, pointed the camera at us, and made us answer questions over and over and over.
Did you like it? Was it fun?
It was fun towards the end. Watching the video afterwards wasn't.
You watched it?
I've always wanted that media. I've always wanted media training.
It is fun.
I've always wanted it.
Once you get through the initial embarrassment of feeling like a complete tool.
Yeah.
All right. So
more than usual, though.
Thanks go out to our listeners today for I forgot who I sadly have forgotten or did not make a note of who sent this to us, but we're enjoying a fine bottle of Harding Estates 2006 Merlot that was
quite nice.
Someone's trying to make us classy.
I know. And did you see the email I sent around today? I finally hit the proper mailing list as I got PR from Tullamore Dew about their new 30-year special Irish whiskey.
How did you land on that?
Are you on a mailing list for that?
Evidently, I'm now on a mailing list for Booze
Are you on
PR.
a product mailing list for that?
Took freaking long enough, didn't it?
Could you get some preview samples?
It did actually include that samples were available. How are we still not sponsored?
Without you drinking whiskey. This is the first time.
Is that Hanson sponsoring?
Look, I have to save this other half a cork to throw later, or I would be throwing it at you right now. It would already be out of my hands. John Davis.
You're just uncomfortable because there's a girl in the room.
Lady.
Garnet's on edge. We're leaving for Japan in the morning. We got to make it through this show, all right? Let's go.
All right, so here's the rest of the deal for today's show. We're going to do what you've been playing in the first segment. In the second segment, we're going to talk about, of course, we have to do pre-TGS predictions since Shane and I will be there next week. Sadly, John's not going to be there. I was
bummed.
Yeah, Andrew's not going to be there.
Bummed.
Zoe's not going to be there.
I might show up.
Really?
Nice.
Well, I just want to give you false hope.
Oh. No. It's not the first time a woman's done that for me. And then in the third segment, we'll have news. We've got all sorts of stuff. We'll have additional nuts and bolts stuff about the DSi and some of the other Nintendo announcements coming out of both their Japan and North American press briefings.
We have quite a lot of news. There must be quite a lot of news. At least 25 items in news here.
I hope there better be at least 25.
Let's talk about what we've been playing. How about that, Mr. Davison?
You want me to start?
I would love for you to start. Tension's so thick you can cut it with a knife.
Do you want me to start with the really weird one?
Yes.
Yeah, start with something weird.
So
Choaniki.
No.
Oh.
That would be
Soul
weird.
Trapper.
Oh, the iPhone game you told me about.
So
Far out.
It's by Real Time Associates, who I don't know if you remember them.
They're still around?
They're still around. They've been around.
The makers of Bug
and Intellivision Lives, and because they used to develop for the Intellivision. That's how long they've been around.
That's a long while.
So they've been doing a lot of stuff in the serious games, but they did Remission was theirs, the cancer fighting thing for Hope Lab a while ago. But their new thing is called Soul Trapper, and
I had one of those when I was in school. Right?
That was a Trapper Keeper.
Oh.
You may have been trapping children's souls in your Trapper Keeper, but not me.
Same principle.
Yeah.
But
it's Velcro closure.
So what it is it's like it's kind of like an Infocom text adventure, but instead of it being text, it's like an audio drama. So it's like listening to a radio play, like a book on tape.
Are there graphics?
There's very simple graphics on the screen, but you're listening to the whole thing. So all the puzzles and everything that you have to do comes through the audio, and it's told first person from the main character in the story, and you're listening to him. And he's this sort of like paranormal ghostbuster detective kind of thing. And you'll hear a bunch of the prose, and then he'll present some kind of contextual challenge, whether it's a puzzle or a navigation thing. Some icons appear on the iPhone screen. You tap the one to interact, and each scene has maybe 4 or 5 interaction points. But then some of the puzzles are audio-based, so there'll be things where you have to find things in the stereo space. So there'll be the sound of a ghost, and you have to tune the sound basically using the things on the screen to be able to hear a ghostly voice in the soundscape.
Okay, you're convincing me already that this actually sounds kind of
I
innovative.
thought we were actually in one right now.
So it plays out like an old. I mean. And then it would move left to right, and you have to kind of get it into the middle. And so the first episode is like 4 hours long. It's in 23 like 5 to 10 minute chunks, so you can play it in little pieces. But it's all audio.
Does it have grooves? Does it have any grooves?
Grooves?
Yes.
What do you mean?
It's very dark. You better be careful. You might be eaten by a grue.
But they did cite like old Infocom and those things as the inspiration for the way that. So it sounds like if you were playing a game like that, but where someone was reading the whole thing out loud to you with sound effects.
It also sounds a lot like the revolutionary game by my lord Kenji Ino, Real Sound: The Winds of Regret for Sega Saturn. That was, an audio.
The same kind of thing.
How did you introduce Kenji Ino?
My savior. You can read my extensive 25,000 word interview with him on OneUp. It's still there.
It's still there.
Still there.
Oh my lord!
So they're doing stuff aimed at women and stuff aimed at kids, and they're doing like an interactive Tom Sawyer story apparently as well. But it's all this same kind of it's like a text adventure but in audio form, and it works really well because it's perfectly suited to like the iPhone, the iPod Touch, because you only have to interact with it every minute or so, and it's like you tap left to explore one room and.
Sounds like it fits perfectly. Super accessible, sound-based, which already you're thinking in those terms because it's an iPod and a phone.
And the sound quality is really good. I mean, it's like a really well done audio drama.
Like, what's the next step? Interactive audiobooks? I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea too.
So I think long term, what they're looking at is sort of getting things off the ground with these original things, but then eventually doing interactive licensed products. Essentially, I mean, you could
that would work on the new DS
huge.
too.
Yeah,
good idea.
Yeah.
That sounds very cool.
Wow. Very cutting edge, John.
Yeah. Very cutting edge. iPhone as a platform, definitely.
And he can't read, so.
Yeah, it's better that, I started playing Sonic Chronicles, but I haven't really played very much of it.
I need to play that because I got to say, I don't know if you've seen the score that I was giving it. The score's out there now. It's a really high score. It's our game of the month in the new EGM.
Oh, I did hear that, yeah.
Is it a Nick view?
It's a Ryan Scott view. And
Oh, he talked about it on One FM.
He did, and... I walked up to him and I saw his score, and I was like, okay, Ryan, as an adult male human, I need to know. I need to know, will this game offend me and make me feel like I'm supposed to be 10 years old? Or is there a level of humor and like intelligence here that the kind of thing you'd find in Paper Mario? Like, does it play on two levels? Like, will adults find humor here?
It's very...
he said
Mario RPG, Mario RPG.
Yeah.
I think that was obviously what they were going for with it. But it's interesting that it does sort of have a really stripped down version of the Mass Effect conversation system in it, which is
really
But is it funny? Like, are you entertained as an adult human male?
I wouldn't go as far as funny. I mean,
because like Paper Mario is actually funny to us.
Yeah,
right.
I would more go with mildly amusing.
Yeah, because what I wanted to get out of him is like if I imagine myself being a kid who loves Sonic and like, would I love this? But as an adult now, like, is it worth the $40 or how much it cost to me? Will I really want to play through this game?
It's in if you were to kind of map the places that the Sonic universe has been in terms of.
I beat Shadow the Hedgehog. All right,
okay.
I've seen the darkest.
You've seen the darkest lameness, and you've seen the originals, and
yeah.
It's sort of in the first Dreamcast game kind of vibe,
which is when the last great game.
That was the last good one.
Yeah.
Sonic Adventure 1 was like the last
It's
peak.
that vibe. So it's not funny and it's not poking fun at itself, but it is lighthearted.
Okay, my other question, the combat seemed a little slow to me. It seemed like long animations, and it's all turn-based and repetitive, as you expect from like a JRPG style combat.
Yeah.
But there's some interactive bits that keep it fresh, or
and there's the Elite Beat Agents parts,
which are fun.
Yeah.
But even when I talked to the guys at BioWare, they were very clear that, they want to make a game that's good for kids. They have kids.
They dubbed it like My First RPG.
So it's ideal for young gamers.
Sonic is still huge with kids. And but I thought it'd been awesome had them been able to tread that really difficult line of making it cool for kids and like subtly, funny and smart for adults as well.
Well, it's good. They have lots of fodder they can still go after. They can do like the Spyro the Dragon RPG.
Yeah. But I am still a little skeptical of the incredibly high score Ryan gave it, because I think that as an adult who grew up with Sonic, like nostalgia is powerful, but will I really want to play all the way through this game?
It's very charming, which I think he may well have been responding to. And it's very, the way that, whether you like BioWare stuff or not, they're very good at consistency throughout what they do. So they have this whole aesthetic and style, and it's I mean, I've not played very much of it, but it seems very solid and consistent in the way that it's presented.
Jade Empire was certainly consistent.
Consistently something.
I mean, because this game, Sonic has already gotten some wildly mixed reviews.
Yeah.
So,
and I could see why some like really hardcore gamers would be turned off by it.
I am sort of grumpy. I apologize.
Because it's a little grumpy. It's unashamedly RPG light.
What's the Elite Beat Agents part? I'm interested by that.
Some of the interactions, it's rhythm based. I mean, the way that kind of stuff.
Do they play songs? I mean, what do they do?
No. It's the same kind of gestures. It's like tapping things in time with something, and then the grabbing the thing and moving it across the screen. And
within the combat system, or
it pops up all over the place.
Okay, that's kind of cool. I mean, that could be engaging.
Are the graphics
it's like minigame
sound
based.
good?
Yeah, it's very slick.
The voices?
I love Sonic. I'm just making fun of them.
as a Sega it's one of the best Sega products in a while. Recent track record's not been awesome, so...
Talking about the Golden Compass?
Iron Man? Golden Axe? Oh, wait, it's not out yet.
But I think as a new baseline to sort of rebuild the Sonic franchise, I think they're in a good place. And I played a lot of Little Big Planet. Do we want to do that now or later?
Yeah, that's going to be the lion's share of what I talk about.
Are we just going to throw away the rest of it?
You just want to throw away the rest of it?
Well,
last week, let's get Zoe in. But last week I didn't get to talk about Little Big Planet. I didn't get to talk about anything last week because of Sean Elliott. So this week I'm talking about it. But
before I do that, I played both the new Buzzes as well.
Oh, and
Buzz TV Quiz
and Master Quiz.
The PS3 one was fun when we've been
They're
playing
both
a demo.
Awesome.
Yeah,
It's so great because just for bragging rights, it's just... the
make your
first time we
Okay,
played.
how do the custom question packs work?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Can you download them or do you just make them? Can you share
there's
them?
3 for download. So there's
But you can make your own,
You
right?
can make your own. So the make your own ones don't have speech. It's got generic Buzz presentation around them, but it drops them into the standard question and answer format. And then there's the National Geographic, the sci-fi, and the video game packs, which are they $6 or $7? I can't remember, but there's like 3,000 questions. No, sorry, 500 questions in each of them.
That's not bad.
That's good.
Is the video game one fun? Have you tried that? No.
I haven't tried it, but I've heard it's very Sony.
Wow, surprise.
But it's really good, and having the controllers be wireless now rather than that massive spaghetti with the PS2 version. Yeah,
that always became a mess every time he drug it out. I went over to a friend's house one time, and I remember he had the Buzz, and the controllers were all knotted together, and it was like...
Well, just when you have 4, it's knotted, but if you ever did 8, it was just impossible.
I didn't imagine 8.
You can put 2 of and the new one supports 8 as well, but... when it was 8 wired controllers, it was impossible.
Yeah, that's even a bigger mess.
But the PSP one is very good. I mean, just as a sort of very casual play your own trivia game, it supports game sharing like in a really simple form off of 1 disc, or up to 6 if you have 6 copies. But probably the best multiplayer mode is the pass mode, where you take it in turns and just pass the PSP around. Which is kind of it feels very old school, but in that kind of just sit around
a road trip or something,
and you're passing it backwards and forwards, and it's doing point. Rather than being competitive on the buzzing, it's all point focused.
Kind of like you're hanging out in the garage, like That 70s Show guys pass the PSP.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was really good.
Dude, get your own.
So Buzz was actually responsible for a technical faux pas on my part with Little Big Planet, because Buzz comes with a USB key that it syncs the 4 controllers to. Mm-hmm. And you stick it in the front, and it syncs all the 4 things that come with it.
Right.
What I didn't realize is that no matter what, it always locks that to controller 1. So if you leave the key in and pick up your DualShock or 6-axis, that controller cannot be controller 1.
Oh, okay.
I think I had a similar problem. I had a joystick plugged in, and if Little Big Planet thinks you have multiple people, you can't get rid of the other person.
You can't get rid of the other person.
There's no way to get rid of them.
And you can't regain
So what happened was I picked up my controller, loaded up Little Big Planet, and my normal guy dropped and went limp, and then another guy dropped into the pod, and the player 2 can't interact with the computer. Only player 1 can.
Right.
And I'd forgotten this key was plugged in, so I thought there was some bug, so I rebooted it.
And this is during the opening, opening level. I had the same exact experience.
But I'd played the game and saved a bunch.
He was already through.
I'd been through all the tutorials. I'd done a bunch of stuff. I'd built my special fart machine that I'll tell you about later. And
so British.
And I thought, there must be a bug. It's a test thing. I'll restart it. That didn't work, so I reinstalled it, and that took ages, and it still did it.
Removing the dongle didn't fix it?
No, I didn't realize the dongle was in still. So then I ended up thinking, I'm gonna have to delete my save, because there's obviously something corrupted.
But then you'll lose all your stuff.
Then I lost all my stuff. Then it still did it. It was still dropping 2 characters into the pod, and I'm like,
did you start cussing
what?
yet?
Yeah.
Where did the cussing come in?
Oh, before that. I mean,
Did you do things with player 2, and could player 2 do things to your lip?
When I was doing all this like elaborate shit, like I was dragging my limp sack boy around the pod, trying to wonder if his position was like.
Keep it easy with the limp sack boys.
And eventually, I just happened to like hold the controller out like this and saw that the second light was lit up, and was like, "Oh shit!" And popped the USB key out.
It's a cautionary tale.
Everything worked fine.
It's funny. It happened to both of us.
So many people are willing to admit
the PS. If something is plugged into the PS3, the thing plugged in is always player 1.
Right.
And what actually tipped me off as I looked down was because I got to the EULA and I couldn't accept it. And that was like, okay, there's something controller related, right?
Yes. Oh, the buttons don't work.
Dipshit.
Yeah.
So how much time have you spent in Little Big Planet Beta so far?
3-4 hours probably.
Okay. You haven't made anything.
No, I've made stuff.
Make something.
So I finished all the main. I didn't get 100% on everything, but I got over 100% on the first and over 50% on the others. I did all the tutorials sort of all in one go.
It's the best way to do it.
And then I started making something kind of grand and got completely drowned in the enormity of it all, and then decided
you can get really caught up in the minutia of trying to fix one little thing, make it perfect.
So I started playing around with the sounds and realizing that you can trigger a sound with a switch. So I just built a wall and I stuck a sound thing up and attached a switch to it, and then just sort of jumped up and down on it, and then realized that I could make some kind of musical instrument. And then I found that because you can affect the pitch of every sound in the game. And then I was sort of poking around and realized that there were lots of different sounds, and you get to the comedy sounds. So there was farts and burps. So I have this
wall. And you can slow them down.
Right. So I have this wall that is like all these red speakers, and everyone is a different pitch of burp or fart. And then on the ground, I have this whole line of switches, and each switch is lined up to a different burp or fart noise. And I just jump him around, and
So is your level published?
Not yet, no.
So this is the whole other thing.
I need to refine it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very hard. It's like as soon as you get to that stage and you feel really confident and you start building, then I was like,
because I was wondering,
I don't want to put it up there
is
yet,
a burping and farting musical instrument enough?
See, because my level,
I was just like, somebody is going to tag it and say it's a piece of crap. And then I'm going to cry.
I decided, because my level isn't really finished, it's a work in progress, but I went ahead and published it anyway.
I think they should have a tag that says that.
Well, you can explain it, so when you're explaining your level, I explain that it isn't quite finished, because I played a lot of levels that are even worse than mine. So
David Ellis, if you haven't seen the one I'm showing
yet,
he outed the entire saga of your level.
David Ellis.
He explained about how all the pile of crap there is from a tower that you built, but it fell over.
I've had people smack talking your levels in like lines at like fast food places at lunchtime. Like I was out the other day and thought, have you played Shane's level yet?
David Ellis's Spartan conservative aesthetic doesn't understand my destroyed beauty concept. He doesn't understand. There's a lot going on in my level, and I think everyone.
There's a lot of crap lying around.
You haven't played my. Have you even seen?
I've totally played your level.
If you
I played
add
it
me as your friend, I might be able to see it.
I'm going to need to add both of you. So you played.
No, I'm going to deny you.
Is it Holler or Hollow?
Cooter's Holler.
He's totally owning the Cooter name.
No, I'm twisting it back on itself.
Oh, okay, sure. Cooter's.
But
Holler.
I've had a lot of fun with it, and it's evolving naturally, and there's lots of different fun jumps and things to do, and I'm having so much fun playing with my level and playing other people's
It's kind of
levels.
like a trip to a junkyard.
But that's where you find out if you're more of a creator, like a giver or a taker.
You're a giver or taker, yeah.
But I've been amazed by the things
sailing right
by
past.
the
Have you got? So I've seen. So I went through and I started poking around the ones that people had already made, and the ones. So there was I think everyone's played the Super Mario Brothers level 1.
See,
it's okay.
One of the first things I played, but that just showed me, okay, that's not what's good about this game.
Right.
Have you seen the Space Invaders?
Yes.
I thought that was it's very flawed and it's clearly not finished, but the presentation of it and the fact that it had that forced perspective and you can move the switch along.
Well, and the ones that are like a mini game are really impressive, because there's that one. I played another one where you're going through a mine and you have a gun and you're like shooting down. It's like Dig Dug. And there's another one I played, Plinko. Plinko is amazing.
How did they make a gun?
There's different guns you can get. If you're playing through the tutorials enough, you'll get them. And if you play the shooters, there's a shmup where they made this giant construction out of glass and machinery. So you get on it and you grab the jetpack, and then you grab this gun that is made out of floating material, and then you're attached to this giant machine that scrolls to the right. So it's like a side-scrolling shooter, and you have this gun and you're shooting things, and
that's really
it's
cool.
totally outside the box. Have you seen the Shadow of the Colossus level?
Yeah,
it's amazing.
That's amazing.
It's totally
yeah.
amazing.
Or the Patapone level is my favorite level. It is
I haven't seen that one.
unbelievable.
I love
Do a
Patapone.
search for Patapone. It'll blow your mind. The things this guy made, like you're in the middle of this huge Patapone fight with these huge Patapone, and they're
So
throwing,
did he
throwing spears.
did he sticker everything black to get the kind of silhouette vibe?
Not
or?
really, like parts of it. I saw another level where someone is doing like a silhouette graphical style on it. But I've just been blown away. There's another level called Hollow Bastion. It's by some guy in Italy. The graphics are insane. It's like a real horror level, and it actually looks really scary and impressive. And a lot of these were up 2 days into the beta. I'm blown away.
It is stunning how fast the cream of the crop are able to crank out these really high level.
There's some bad stuff too.
I mean,
Well,
there's
there's a large volume of what I've been calling first grade macaroni collages.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh wow, look at all this
it's
stuff.
What's
Sweet.
unfortunate, I talked to a few people who
They should have the My First Level tag, though.
Well, that's you know what they really should. There's a lot of community things they should have in there that just it's sort of like right now one of the biggest challenges is trying to just filter through
Sort
and find.
through, and like I was like, I just want to see levels with dinosaurs, and it's hard to find.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's been going for a week, as we've said before.
Right.
Like, and the beta is also a little unstable. I've had a ton of crashes online. Like the online.
Yeah, I've had some pretty.
I've had some
laggy
bad especially when you're playing with other people. I was playing with people in Europe, and like
It's been
bad
inconsistent.
lag.
A couple of 3 nights ago, I was able to play perfectly, and the night before last, there was just it simply was not going to work. No matter
Last
how many
night, mine wouldn't go online at all.
No matter how much we tried, we could not get levels to load together. And then when they did load, you just see like characters flashing across the screen from one end of this level to the next level, and then it would crash, and you'd be back in your pod.
One time, me and another guy were both controlling the same character. That was exciting, and we were both able to pause it, and we were really confused.
That's kind of fun.
Sometimes you won't be able to publish a level. I mean, obviously, it's so ambitious. And there was
It's great, and stuff happened. Like I tried to put a picture on the wall. I'd taken a picture in the environment, and I went to paste it, and I accidentally pasted it on my face.
Oops.
So now I have this jittery.
Yeah, once you do that,
I can't get the photo off my face.
Well,
and
you
I'm
have to
kind of
re-choose your skin color. To get rid of it.
There's
But
also
it's
a reset your Sackboy somewhere.
Yeah, I was attaching some leaves, and I have a leaf permanently attached to my head now.
And you kind of like it, don't you?
I kind of like it. But I got to say, overall, it's above and beyond what I expected. The community is blowing me away.
Have you got your camera hooked up?
Yeah, I have my camera. I've used a lot of my own
Is
stuff.
your face in there? Is it floating around?
My face isn't anywhere in the level, but there's lots of other cool stuff in my level.
Oh, God, please. No.
What?
No, please tell me you didn't do any. Well, I was just worried that you might have done something obscene in there.
No.
Well, that's what I was
obscenity,
wondering, right?
obscenity.
For like filters in terms of.
It's funny.
If you make a reward with a picture of like you mooning somebody.
Has anybody here seen any obscenity? I have not.
Not
No,
yet.
me neither.
I haven't either.
And I've played lots of
looking.
random ass
So weird
levels.
after all the
I've been
spore
looking. I've been
stuff.
searching.
You're
Didn't find any.
We've been filtering for days.
like, please. I
Not
need
even
some
a nipple.
cocks.
But are
Not
you-
even a wardrobe malfunction.
So I mean, are you guys as impressed as I am?
I'm over
Not just by the game itself is amazing,
Dude,
but
how
by,
long have
by
I been
the
selling
community.
how impressed I have been?
Yeah.
But like by the community,
definitely.
I'm really impressed by the community.
Yeah.
So let me
me
ask you a quick question before we get too far away from the bug things. One of the quotes we don't have in the news section, but I saw in passing, Mark Healy's been out talking. Mark Healy, of course, of Media Molecule, one of the co-founders, has been out talking to a bunch of press people. One of the things he said is that this game is not just a game; it's a service. So this is part of their ongoing commitment to supporting the game post-release. However, a lot of people have been optimistically saying, "Oh, well, there's problems in the beta," but it is just a beta. I think that if you look at the timeline, the code that we're playing off of for beta is not that far removed from the point at which there were some announcements out there that it had gone gold. So how many of these things do you think are actually going to be fixed by release time? And how much of this do you feel that because they're already positioning it as a service are things that, hey, we know there are going to be some problems. We know there's some things to overcome. It's very ambitious. Are you guys okay with that? Are you guys okay with it
100% yes.
being fixed over time?
Yeah.
If the retail release is as unstable as this one, I'll be a little upset, but I'll still be completely addicted to it. It's one of the games where I get up in the morning, I'm excited, like I wonder who's played
Don't
my level.
you love the music?
I love the music
I
when you're
can't wait.
when you're selecting
Oh,
when you're selecting a
so
level.
good.
That music's awesome. But just in general, I'm excited about it in a way I haven't been games since like Phantasy Star Online. The idea that like things are always happening, and I want to go be a part of
when
it.
was the last time you just had that much excitement about, like when we got the codes to download it?
It already feels like it's sustaining itself, and it's like this real community, and it's very small. It's a few thousand people right now. So when the game really comes out, I'm very excited to see what happens.
I think its biggest problem is going to be reaching outside of people like us.
Oh, absolutely. So, but going beyond the people who will actually invest the time.
Because you put it in front of
But it's kind of like, what is it? Like,
yeah,
how do you explain it?
Exactly. You put it in front of somebody who Sony is clearly going after with it, which is, reaching outside of. Because the PS3 is still focused very much on the core. I sat through a presentation this week from some Sony people, and it's still all about the 25-year-old influencer dude that eats Taco Bell and drinks Mountain Dew, and it's and it's like, okay,
that guy still exists.
The guy still exists. He's pretty cut in the pictures, but they really need and they've said they really need Little Big Planet to step outside of that. But you show the game to a normal person, and usually the first thing they go is, huh?
Well, right, because it is sort of...
It has a huge... once you're over that initial hurdle,
right.
It all makes sense.
But it's almost like it's not even a hurdle. It's just when you tell people they can make stuff, they're like, why would I want to make stuff?
And when you tell basically you have to make stuff, so I have to make the game.
Well, no, you don't basically have to. You don't have to make things at all. You can absolutely
have to,
go.
But I think that notion of if you're going to fully participate in if you're only playing other people's levels, then you really are you're only taking.
That's my choice, though.
I can't imagine someone playing these levels and not wanting to make their own.
Right.
But you know what? If you're saying that, then I think that in a way, that they're starting to lose the battle, because I know from having talked to them, and I know from having watched it playable, that there's a lot to get out of just playing this. Part of the excitement is if you just want to take in all of these great levels, and then there's the sharing element of it, which has not been working that great, but going in and favoriting different levels and sharing with the community, that's one of the ways they hope that the top levels will eventually start coming to the to the surface, that you'll be able to find them more easily.
If they sell enough copies, which from the interest in the beta, they're going to. Eventually there'll be so much content.
They're going to sell a lot at the outset.
So the reason YouTube works is this notion of givers and takers, and the takers outnumber the givers.
Right.
And Little Big Planet has to be the same way. But I think a lot of the focus of the game is if you're really going to get everything that you can out of it, then you want to be at least tweaking, like going into a level and saying, hey, this would be so much better if I move this to here. And I think
extrapolating that and building on it and refining it.
So that's not really well developed in the beta, and obviously the code that they sent out as beta code is a percentage of the full. I don't know. What do you say about maybe 60% of the full thing?
Oh no! Because we have the review code now, and Nick Sutner was showing me the full single player game, because I was really curious, because
huge amounts of content.
Our really early build had a lot more than the beta, and it has tons of levels with really cool stuff you haven't seen before, and they can always make more. So I don't know, and when I'm playing now, they're already themed levels I wish existed that no one else has made. So do I have to make them? Maybe I want a lost theme level. I guess I'll have to make it myself.
So one of the bridges we don't have in the beta is the sort of bridge between not creating and full blown wide open creating, which is what you're talking about, going in and tweaking. And they have at least from when I was talking to folks there about it, they have this plan of having a number of levels in varying states of completeness that you can hop into.
There's an element of that in the beta. You go into the templates and they're not empty rooms.
Right, there's some things in them.
The city one has a basic sort of Donkey Kong kind of setup.
There's maze-like stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think
imagine much more of that.
But I don't think we have to worry about people being daunted and scared and making levels, because that's the whole beauty of this game. Is you get in, you realize it's easy to play and these levels are really fun, and I can make all of this with this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, if the excitement I'm experiencing from my friends and the community is any indication, I think this game is going to be huge. And
but will it reach out? Is the thing? Well, is it going to be like Guitar Hero?
I think so.
Or something
I think if you saw,
good for the core, but also
it's really easy to jump in, because you can just plug in the controller and play, and the basics are so simple. Grabbing, jumping. And when you see how quickly someone can make a level,
them in front of it, but how do you explain it?
YouTube videos do a lot. I've seen a lot of people just showing oh, here's an awesome new level. Here's the Sweet Child of Mine level. It's hilarious. You got to see it. And instantly people are I want this game. And people are paying money for the beta codes on eBay. So hardcore people obviously are excited about this game. I think word of mouth is going to be huge. I don't know. I think it's on the cusp of being something really big.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I think part of what's going to be interesting is if it's going to be a service, then after it releases, it's going to be critical how they steer both the development of the game to coincide with where the community is going, and keeping them running parallel with one another, so that they're encouraging the same sort of things that the community are wanting to do, whether it's sharing video or doing. There's a whole potential for machinima in this thing that's amazing with the lip sync. I saw did you see what they were
doing with Sarah Palin, Sackboy?
Oh no, he was doing.
That's appropriate for today.
Earlier, he was doing you remember the old video of the whistling muffler out of Oakland?
You mean Bub Rub and the Whistle Tips?
Yes, Bub Rub and the Whistle
his sister?
Tips.
I'm glad I can't remember that.
So he had like two sack boys.
Little sis, yeah.
Exactly. Had two sack boys like in the spaceship, like while that was playing, and had the microphone held up to the speaker while I was playing, and it was so funny to watch the sack
because it has real lip sync of whatever you're saying.
It's hilarious. It was so funny.
But like Little Big Planet, I love it so much that it's been keeping me away from Wipeout HD, which I also really love.
I agree with that.
But okay, so you've been playing Wipeout?
Oh yeah, totally.
I've been playing as well.
Do you find the AI to be really aggressive?
Really aggressive.
Me too. At
really
first,
aggressive.
I had trouble winning, and like for the first 30 minutes of like, I used to be good at Wipeout, and it took me like an hour.
Have you?
Before
How
I could
many
start winning.
classes? How many classes have you jumped up? Because
I just did the first 6 races. That's all I've done so far.
Okay, you know what? Part of it is, at least for me, was I found that I had to jump up at least one speed class
to better craft.
Yeah, because the first speed, like if you played a lot of Wipeout, then when you start over again, it takes a little while to remember that those first crafts are so slow. You're always turning in.
It does feel slow, and in fact, when you go in and once you start doing the crazy mode and you get up to like the
zone,
the zone,
start
the third or fourth tier,
zone mode's much
this
easier.
is what Wipeout feels.
Exactly.
Yeah, zone mode's so much easier than the real thing.
So just go in and bang out that first tier, and then get up into what's the next one, Rapier or something.
Yeah.
And once you hit that, you'll suddenly find yourself back in the flow.
I do love it. The graphics are beautiful, and custom soundtracks. Fine.
Oh my god!
Thank you.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It really is gorgeous. It's so fast, so fast.
Yeah,
love it.
I find myself playing my PS3 now suddenly all the time.
I was just going to say that. I'm not playing Wipeout, but that's all I'm playing. Well, besides my employment obligations to play Little Ponies Pinkie Pie's Party.
You said you wanted
Nancy
to play that.
Drew and okay, I did say that.
I mean, outside of, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, outside of playing Brothers in Arms, which I was really looking forward to, almost pulled the whole podcast rig down there. I haven't been back to, simply because I've been having more fun playing the other games. I mean, I'm still stuck on Eden.
That's what I play the most of. Until I got Little Big Planet.
The Pixel Junk Eden soundtrack came out today on PSN.
For $2.99.
$2.99.
I'm
Do
so
you
excited.
get a headache when you play?
No.
I play it. I get so intense about it. Hours go by, and I'm searching for Spectra, and
I get so into it.
I'm so into it, and then I walk away, and it's like I have this weird fog, and
so I have to tell you,
reality anymore.
Possibly the most exciting part of my visit to Japan is that on the Tuesday after TGS, I'm going down to Q Games.
The door.
Yep, and
Dylan Cutworth.
Dylan's got
talk to you anymore.
And he's gonna have Bion there, and we're gonna go out. And I'm like, dude, I
have to see the next Pixel Junk game. Dungeons.
Yeah, I don't think there's much chance I'll get to see that. Yeah. But I will get to go hang out with Bion, and maybe, who knows?
Is it the guy who made the music?
That's the guy who did all the music and all the art.
Awesome.
He's so freaking cool. I'm sky high about that. Wow. Sky high about that.
Someone should make a Pixel Junk Little Big Planet level.
Yes.
That'd be cool, yeah.
I will do that.
But yeah, LBP is the most exciting thing that's happened.
That's what I was thinking. It would be really cool. If you can do the silhouette thing,
yeah.
You could do Pixel Junk. But with your little sack boy, it would be really cool.
You know, if it's
Maybe
a
that's
service,
what I'll do. Maybe that's what I'm already doing and I haven't published.
If LBP is a service, what all could they do post-release to add stuff to it? I mean, besides the fact that, is there any doubt that there will be some sort of storefront inside it? I mean, this thing's custom built for it.
I think more editors, more ways of building imagery and stuff beyond pointing a camera at stuff. Or I think there's definitely room for being able to draw on stickers. Mm-hmm. I think
this is something I'm really interested in, like the photo and customizing stickers. Even when I was running through, and it's like a sort of nobody's played, it's just like a crappy level, but a couple people have been through and stickered a couple things with their own sticker. And I'm like, who is that person?
Does it stay?
And yeah.
Yeah, if you sticker someone's level,
so if you could put up your sticker, and I could be like, "Hey,
really?
Shane's been here."
You didn't know that?
No, that's kind of cool.
That's what I was like. This is a whole other side of it. I haven't even thought about.
I have to get her a gamer tag so I can go vandalize her level.
Hey, settle down. I was talking, but yeah, I think the sticker thing is like, there's something about it. It's like you could collect things, you could know where other people have been, and
I like that you can give a sticker as a reward on your level,
or give items. You've got a lot of really cool items from all the levels.
Did you play the Red Ring of Death level?
I played one of them. There's several. I played one that was really good, like a Mayan adventure level, and you're riding on this giant vehicle made out of Xbox 360s. It's very strange.
Whoa, that's cool.
It's a good level though.
And then I played the space mission one that starts off with the rocket, and you end up, and it's all like they plastered the back wall with a starscape, and then
this is when you get the Jeff Green picture for.
I think it is Jeff Green, but it looks a lot like him.
I think it is Jeff Green.
I think it is.
If you Google it, it says.
Oh, it is.
It says Jeff Green reward.
But and it has that kind of moon buggy thing, and it goes along, and basically once you trigger it, you don't actually have to really do anything. It just sort of carries you along to the end, and then it gives you the sticker at the end. But the Red Ring of Death one gives you an Xbox 360 sticker.
This reminds me, Garnet. I need to make a sticker of the famous Garnet photo. In fact, someone needs to make one up. Someone needs to make one up yours level. I'm just
Yes.
saying.
And I was getting happy again.
Oh,
now
I'm sorry.
it's all
Oh,
over.
no.
We'll make it one up your sticker.
But
There you go.
this is what I worry about, though. As soon as it's open to the rest of, like you say, the
To the-
community's
to the
good,
peasants.
it's going to get messy, and like there's going to be
gonna
some
be full of
content.
junk
It's going to
pictures.
be some nasty stuff I don't want to see.
I don't know, like considering the people who are on this beta, and a lot of them are using, message boards, and they're
They have an instantaneous reporting system through the select button. I presume that
Yeah, and
Sony.
you can take a photo of anything you see and send it to
Yeah.
them, so you can actually specify what it is that has offended you.
And given the degree of support that they've provided, both in letting them spend all the time developing the game and in marketing the game, don't you figure that Sony's set aside a fairly large chunk of people to monitor the submissions of bad stuff?
I think so.
Yeah, I just think it could get pretty.
I think if the beta is
Expensive.
any indication that most people react positively and genuinely to it, and there'll be a lot of excitement after release.
Yeah, I think so too. I wouldn't get too upset about that. I mean, if you can
I'm just being protective.
If Google can manage YouTube, certainly Sony can
True.
handle Little Big Planet.
Good point.
I mean, your child on October 19th might see a giant vagina. I mean, it could happen. Just saying.
My child's already seen one.
Oh.
Just kidding.
Anybody
Oh,
playing anything
dear.
that wasn't?
Hopefully CPS won't be around later.
Anybody playing anything that wasn't Little Big Planet that we haven't talked about?
That's all there is to play.
No, someone sent me.
No, there's a lot coming out, though.
Someone sent me a message. I have a question for you. Do you plan your portable gaming for the trip to Japan? Like what you're going to take with you? What are you going to play?
I usually bring both my PSP and my DS, and I end up traditionally only using one of them.
I would fall into the same exact category. Typically, it's been the DS for me before. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people have been like back on me about. You talked about Star Ocean for a little bit. Will you play some more? So I might try and do some Star Ocean PSP. I don't know, maybe some Monster Hunter
I've been on
2.
a PSP kick again lately. I think it's weird when I turn it on again and play something for a while. I get very fond of it again, but then I'll put it away and my sort of normal churn if I'm going to play for on the road or something. I tend to default to the DS, and then I keep needing to be reminded that the PSP is cool. Someone in development told me an interesting thing. Do you know I think the worldwide install base of the PSP is still higher than the Wii. It's like it's still very high, and like
Is that
Did someone at
it's
Sony
so
say that?
maligned as a system that even though it's been out for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. It's maligned as a system because it's behind this juggernaut of sales called the DS.
But it's still, in the grand scheme of things, a success.
And in
absolutely.
Japan, it's been outselling like Wii and DS sometimes.
Right.
Like it's pretty nuts.
But when you play a good, well-designed game that was clearly thought through properly for the PSP, they're very good. I mean, like something like Buzz. Patapon, and just playing Buzz recently. I mean, they completely redid Buzz for the PSP, and admittedly, it's a very casual game. But if you like playing quizzes and stuff, it's very, very well. It's
That's what I wish I
extremely
had.
Well,
slick.
it's too bad that Sony dropped the ball with PSP this fall. There's almost no releases, and
Yeah.
I mean next year I hear tons and tons of stuff. I think we'll see a lot of cool things at TGS, but for fourth quarter it's a little dry.
So what are you
But
going to take?
it's-
What are you going to take for mobile?
I have a DS game I have to review, so I'll be playing that.
You're not going to take your PSP?
I'll probably bring it, but I need to play this game, and I don't even remember what it's called. It's like Master of Monsters or something. It's an RPG. It's an RPG.
Oh gosh, that's kind of a shame. Oh well, maybe we'll go out and shop, and you can get something new.
There are some PSP games I want in Japan. I just forgot what they were.
Right,
I'm
so
sure
there we go.
no
So
one
we'll do
has
that.
them.
I think it's a great system. But I worked on it, too.
Well, and I'm excited. I'm excited about DSi.
Well, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that
DSi
later.
Miami.
Especially in news. We'll talk about it in the middle segment. Did you have some games you wanted to talk about that are coming up before we take a break and come back?
The October 14th
We've
games,
just been talking
right?
about it a lot because it's,
Which
you
is?
know, there's like 50 or 60 games coming out on October 14th. And there's SOCOM Confrontation.
Okay.
And there's Saints Row 2.
Yep.
And there's Dead Space.
Yep.
And there's Rock Band 2.
Yep.
And there's Bratz Girls Are Really Rockin'. No.
Boogie
Awesome.
Boogie Superstar.
Bratz Girls Are Really
Littlest
Rockin'.
Pet Shop.
Disney Sing It.
Yeah.
Pre-ordered already.
So there's stuff across the board. But I mean, there's a lot of big titles coming out.
Yeah, the interesting thing about that day particularly is that certainly more than any year I remember, the spread of games from like super hardcore to like super kiddie, saccharine, everything's pink with big eye. I mean, like Littlest Pet Shop is possibly the most puke-inducing, nauseating looking thing I have ever seen.
And I love it.
It's like lots of little creatures with really big eyes. Look like they're about to start crying, and it's like you just want to punch things.
Like looking at the DS and Wii. Okay,
Aw.
like go look at the DS and Wii release lists on ebgames.com, and you'll be amazed. Like I'm always
I am there. all
I'm
the
always
time.
amazed. Like wow, there really are 3 different like veterinarian-based Wii games coming out the same day. That's amazing.
More than that.
There's multiple like secret diary games.
And they're good. I really like. See, I know I'm joking about.
Are you a fan of My Makeup for the DS? Have you seen that?
Next. That's
Have you
October
seen that
20th.
one?
Also, that's October 14th. Also, is My Makeup.
October 14th and October 21st. Those 2 days.
Yeah, Fable 2 is October.
I mean,
20th.
Little Big Planet, Little Big. There's a million games those 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Since you brought up Fable 2, I want to throw this out there. Something that I was looking at the release list and thinking about what's going to happen to Fable 2 in light of the fact that Fallout 3 is also dropping in that same window. Yeah, it's going to get steamrolled, isn't it?
Fable 2 sold 1 million, but Oblivion sold 1 million.
Yeah, I think Fallout's going to be huge.
Fallout 3, by all accounts, I mean, both amongst the industry, like all the press people, everyone I've talked to who's played is in love with it. They just had a big play session again recently. Scooter was playing, and he's like, oh my gosh, it's fantastic. I saw Klepek posted to his blog. He's like, oh my god, 4 hours, not enough time. And Fable 2 is going to walk into that's a buzzsaw. Why would somebody at MGS or somewhere in the pipeline not say, wait, maybe we shouldn't have these 2 games coming out at the same time?
Well, what's the alternative? It's push it back into November where it's going to get crushed by something else.
Like Gears.
Yeah. Gears and Resistance.
But at least
it needs a couple of weeks breathing room.
At least
Gears.
At least with Gears, it's a different sort of core consumer. I mean, maybe not 360 consumer.
The argument is going to be, well, Fable is swords and high fantasy, and Fable is sci-fi, and it's different tastes and different.
Yeah,
it's
you're
different
trying to cut that too
experiences.
finely.
But that's going to be how they're justifying the 2 being out within a week of each other.
I mean, I bet they'll probably review similarly. Maybe Fallout will do a little better. We'll see.
It's just the season. I mean, within a month, people are going to be shopping crazy anyways.
That's true. And I disagree. I think Fallout, because of the amount of love for the series, pent-up love for the series, and how well it's been being, hyped, and it just seems to really be. It seems to be one of those things where the storms come together at the right time.
I think it's going to do well out of beyond that, though, because the core fan base will take it so far. But I think it's the fact that it just.
I was saying it critically,
right? But it just appears to be such a good game that
yes,
and it's like
and it's across 3 platforms as well. I mean, of course it's going to beat Fable, so.
But I think that's why it's potentially steamroll Fable. I mean, I think Fable's in a really tough spot. I looked at that today and said, wow, it looks like it's in a really tough spot.
Well, there have been so many RPGs for 360. I mean, just in the last 3 months for JRPGs, it's, if you're an RPG gamer on 360, you have a lot of money to spend.
You're pretty happy? You're like going, wow.
You're like, all these beat titles kind of add up to one A title.
What we might find is people play Fable first and beat it, and then go to Fallout because... Well, Bethesda tends to stretch out the life of their games. I mean, like Oblivion, by the time you'd beaten it, they had Knights of the Nine, they had the horse pack. The
horse pack.
But there was like,
but over
the course of the next 12 months, there were three major quest plugins for it to extend the life of it. And I think once people are into Fallout, and if Bethesda are as in tune with the audience as they were with Oblivion, you're going to be able to play it and play it and play it and play it and play it. And I think
about Fable 2 has those pub games.
There is that.
Yeah, well, you're right. Fallout does look equally extensible, where you could just keep on going and keep on going and keep on going.
I'd be interested to see because a lot of people that played Fable, I mean, it was built to be replayed, and not many people did.
Right.
I think it'd be interesting if they pull it off with Fable 2.
You'll have to replay it. That's why they're delaying the multiplayer.
Didn't he come out this week and say that
it might be their launch?
It might be their launch. Well, you know what? That would be awesome. That would be a big win for them to be able to get it back together and have it patched ready for first day. That would be a big win for them. All right, Andrew, should we take a break?
Yes.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll do pre-TGS and some Nintendo press conference information. Stick around. We'll be right back. Shane, do you realize that this time tomorrow we will be... What about 2/3 of the way across the where Governor Palin can see Russia straight, so he can get to Japan, because that's the way the flight goes. It goes up there.
That is how it goes.
It goes up over the Arctic Circle some, and so there you go. We'll be able to see Russia, which will qualify us as vice presidential candidates.
Putin from the plane. TGS is going to be pretty big this year, I think.
It's going to be huge.
A lot of big stuff.
I think that Sony has made it crystal clear. Although you said a lot of PSP stuff, so the same announcement that had the 11 unannounced PS3 games said 3 PSP. 3 PSP doesn't sound monumental to me.
Well, and they announced in this week's Famitsu, some of these announcements already have come out. Sony announced 2 new PSP games, No information on it. Then one's called Diamond and the Sound of a Gunshot. Who knows who that is?
Diamond and the Sound of a Gunshot.
Is that one game name?
It's one game.
It sounds like a James Bond movie.
It sounds like one of those audiobooks.
And for PS3, they announced a game called Demon Souls, which is being made by From Software, and it's the spiritual successor to Kingsfield, but it actually looks really good. It looks kind of like...
Wow, Kingsfield. Oh, Lord.
I reviewed the last Kingsfield 4. It was spooktacular.
I didn't realize
it wasn't that good.
4. Was it still...
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
But this one...
What do you call those? It's 3D...
That is a first-person RPG.
Yeah, but the thing was, they were so rigid and...
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was an old-school, like, wizardry-style dungeon hack. So this is an outgrowth of that. It has really good graphics, but we'll see if it's actually good. It's going to be playable to show. We can play as much Demon Souls as we want. But yeah,
awesome. Will we have a Soul Keeper to put them in?
Sony's also publishing a HD remake of my least favorite game ever, Spelunker, for PSN. But yeah, that leaves like another 7 games that we don't know what they are. What was
Spelunker? Yeah.
You never played Spelunker?
Completely ignorant, sorry.
I remember that.
Spelunker is from the 80s. I think it was by Broderbund originally. You're a little guy in a cave. It's horrible. Really? Anyway,
You're spelunking.
When I was growing up in Dallas, I loved to go on the Spelunker's Cave ride at Six Flags.
This is not the same.
It's not like that.
No.
So yeah, this leaves us with like 7 unknown Sony games for PS3, and like everyone wants the Eco Team game to be one of them. I want that.
Are you kidding me? How badly I want that?
We know it's out there. We know people have seen it.
Okay, you want me to like heighten your anticipation for the game a little more? Okay, so. And I will never divulge who it was, but I heard a rumor about what the...
Divulge him.
What?
Doesn't matter. Go on.
I will never...
Pray continue.
Yes. So here's the rumor that I heard of what the design focus of this might be. So imagine this. Me and my Colossus. Have you heard this? Floating around? Me and my Colossus. The idea is that you're playing once again the protagonist hero, very much in the vein of Eco and Shadow, and the protagonist is trying to escape from some kind of large campus, like a castle, but like campus size, huge place that you're trying to escape from. Very early on in the escape, you come across a injured Colossus. How big it was or whatever it does, you don't really know, right? So, he's like...
I'm very emotional about my Colossus.
So, of course, here becomes then the companion gameplay model, right?
I think
so now you're trying to... Hold on, let me finish real quick.
Yorda is like a little girl. Colossus is a big monster.
How big is the Colossus? So you're trying to escape with the Colossus now, and both of you are motivated by this shared goal of trying to escape. Of course, what you don't know throughout the entire game is whether or not the Colossus is motivated by, is actually a good Colossus, or it's just an evil Colossus, but you're there and you're trying to help it get away because it's injured.
Is this a fever dream you had, or did someone tell you this?
Someone...
I thought, because you said it was me and my Colossus, I thought then you roll the Colossus around and it gets bigger.
Pick up
someone told me
the Colossus gets bigger?
Yeah.
But tell me that... in everything you know between those two games, it doesn't ring as fairly plausible.
I could see it.
I could totally see it.
I just hope we see it at TGS. That's
I know.
All I'm saying.
I am so hopeful that we'll see
I don't know
that
what
game.
else they can pull out. I mean, who knows? Sony can do anything left field. They have lots of relationships with different developers. Who knows? But I just hope whatever it is, it's good.
Oh my God. How can it not be good? I mean, their art styling alone is just going to be so welcome, because so many people on PS3 have gotten really hung up on doing high-def graphics, really super realistic visuals, all that sort of thing. Outside the PSN stuff, of course, we've had, some beautiful, artistic takes there. But to do a full-blown, high concept game with really, really solid art direction that's special.
I think it's going to be up to Sony, really, because the third parties aren't going to have big things. Like Konami, they have a Metal Gear Solid Online expansion pack.
Yeah, the second expansion pack.
Not a big deal. I don't think Square, they might have a new trailer for Final Fantasy, but, that's also coming 360 in America.
What are they going to show for Kingdom Hearts?
Probably just, the PSP and DS games again, because it's too early for Kingdom Hearts 3. They could tease it, but again, I don't think they will. Other things that already been...
I think they might tease it. You don't think that even just like a short...
I don't think so. Other things that got announced this week for PSP. Here's some PSP games. IRAM announced Disaster Report 3. I don't know if you ever played that. It's kind of a fan favorite series. It's kind of cool. Tecmo has a new zombie action game called Undead Knights for PSP, 4 players. And for Wii, Bandai has announced a Klonoa remake, a remake of the first Klonoa for PS1 on Wii with cel-shaded graphics. It looks really cool. It comes out in December this year. So if you never played the first Klonoa, it's a really great platformer.
Klonoa, I will second that. It is a fantastically good platformer. One of my favorite.
That's a fan favorite as well. I mean, that's a good one to have. But yeah, beyond that, it's a lot of mystery. Who knows? A lot of surprise. And Microsoft has a keynote. And everyone's like, what's going to be at this keynote?
I know. And Shappert's giving it. So I have an interview with him afterwards.
And Luke Smith's going to be there, so who knows?
Do you think that... This is very interesting. I mean, we've heard all kinds of rumors and discussions about like what kind of games Microsoft is going to sell or not sell in.
Well, but
in
they're in a new
Japan.
position in Japan. I mean,
They're in a very new position there because they've
had
done
an upswing because of all these RPGs.
So then, you know what? I've heard that the downside of that, like David Ellis, I guess, sort of went on his hater rampage with me the other day. He's about, no, they're not actually selling any new consoles. What's happening there is people are just replacing existing 360 customers are replacing their 360s with the custom new bundle packs. I don't like he doesn't. First of all, he doesn't have any facts to back that up.
He's never been to Japan. I mean, there is a big resale market for hardware there, and people do rebuy hardware.
That's
but
true.
obviously, people are buying systems and buying games, so it is good, for Microsoft, and they're making some headway. So
they're making headway the way Sony used to make headway, which is injecting money directly into developers to do exclusive RPG titles for their platform. It's really bizarre to see them like just lockstep following what worked for Sony before and making it and executing on it with a platform that everyone thought was really. I mean, we all thought 360 was dead.
But even if they have no new games, there are things like Ninja Blade, which we haven't seen or played. It's only been in Japan so far, so that'll be a chance to see that.
You should describe Ninja Blade a little bit for people who are listening.
It looks like Ninja Gaiden set in downtown Japan.
It looks a lot like
downtown
Ninja
Tokyo.
Gaiden.
Downtown Tokyo. It looks a lot like Ninja Gaiden. It's also by From, I forget.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's
by the
Otogi team.
It's by the Otogi guys, right? Which Otogi 1 was a blast.
Right.
And I didn't play Otogi 2 that much.
It wasn't as good. And Mistwalker has a game called Cryon that's never really been seen, so that's hopefully going to be there. So I don't know. Microsoft could have some surprises. You never know what you're going to get out of Microsoft in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, well, last year's
every party too.
Last year's Microsoft surprise was Operation Wolf and a Gundam game, so that wasn't too surprising actually, other than it flopping.
And Nintendo, of course, won't be there because they already did all their stuff.
Yes, Nintendo already did their thing. So before we move on to Nintendo, we other than just throwing out this, hey, we think TGS is going to be great. Why do we think TGS is going to be great? How on earth, out of what we did not name a whole lot of stuff. How are they going to show 11 new PS3 titles?
Well, I mean, Sony's showing at E3 was very Western focused, and also at Leipzig, they haven't really shown Japanese games, and they've even said that they're kind of behind on development, and theoretically they've had things working a long time, and maybe it's time to show them. And
how many of these do you think will be full-size games? I'm not convinced that all of them will be full games.
I think like the Spelunker is obviously a PSN game, and it's like a little tiny game.
Yeah, I imagine that'd be a fair bit of PSN.
Maybe half and half, maybe 5 real games, 5.
Back in the day on the big Sony events, they'd roll out 10 things at once, full-fledged PS2 games in the early days at these things. I mean, like, they'd be launching new franchises, they'd be
doing... If they
doing...
say unannounced, are they saying North America unannounced?
Japan.
No, this was actually translated off of the Sony Japan site. So this is
There'll
Japanese.
be something from Polyphony, whether it's GT related or not. I think they'll bust something out.
Gran Turismo 5?
Yeah, I mean, something 5 related.
Prologue 2?
Yeah. I mean, but in the past, I mean, they would sort of team up with, I mean, like, I remember in the early days when they published Star Ocean 2 or 3 or something, and they would lump that kind of stuff in with this.
But I mean, they're doing the worst in Japan. They're doing better in Europe. They're doing better in America. PS3 really needs help in Japan, and it can't just wait for Final Fantasy. Sony needs to help it. And
so, what do they need to do then in order to help?
I mean, the big push is going to be White Knight Chronicle, and everyone hopes it's a lot better than it was last year, TGS, because last year it wasn't very good.
I think we're over exaggerating our memories. I don't think it was that bad.
I walked away disappointed last year.
Why were you disappointed?
It was a really short demo. It was very limited, and it just it reminded me a lot of Infinite Undiscovery. I mean, that's an okay game, but I want to be blown away.
You want to be blown? You didn't think that the giant knight armors were?
It's a cool concept, but the implementation wasn't that impressive. I don't know.
I think
that was a whole year ago.
It was still early in the game too. I mean, I think that they were taking some risks and showing off some parts of the game there, and they were. And if you kind of look beyond the fact, I mean, it was a short demo. So look beyond that and think about what could it be.
But this year, I mean, it comes out in December, so whatever's at TGS is very indicative of the final product. So we'll see.
How many does anyone have an idea? And I don't, which I'm asking. How much studio development bandwidth Sony still possesses internally? I mean,
in Japan,
in general, where they could actually bring 11 new titles.
They probably have 10. They probably have 10 teams in Japan. I bet in Japan they have 10 teams easily.
Yeah.
So they're not afraid. I mean, are you expecting something along the lines of like a Legend of Dragoon, where they try and inject some?
They need more role playing.
They need some. Like I know they need something there very desperately, right?
Doesn't there always have to be a new Koei game at TGS?
Koei's kind of changed their tune a little bit in recent years. Like a lot of the big games they announced for PS3 got canceled. Remember Neo? That never came out.
That's true.
You know?
And I think that a lot of the third parties, I think
Just another Dynasty Warriors.
No, they're like mixing
27
them up now, so they'll take a Dynasty
and
Warriors
a Samurai Warriors.
or a Samurai Gundam.
Well, there's
or a-
Gundam Warriors
Gundam.
2. Is
Samurai
is
Warrior.
announced.
But as Capcom and Namco have been very upfront about in the press, the days of third parties being super exclusive without a lot of cash incentive are gone.
like
I mean, they're going to do multi-platform.
The big question mark is, remember Celius? Remember that?
What's that?
No.
Celius is the corporation that Sony and Namco formed to make PS3 games that we've never seen any games out of. Remember that?
You made
No,
that up.
not at all.
I did not make
That was
that
your
up.
Totally made that up.
fever dream.
I did.
Celius, Smellius, Shellius, I don't know.
And if that still exists, and if they're secretly been making games for a few years, hey, maybe that'll be here. Who knows?
Andrew Pfister, you have the interwebs.
Celius, Cellius. I didn't make that shit.
Look us up some Celius.
didn't make that shit up. I wish I made that up.
This is like Scrabble. I'm challenging your word right now, Celius.
But I wouldn't expect any PS3 exclusives from Capcom. They've been adamant about.
Andrew has found Celius.
He's nodding.
Yeah, Celius got
Get the
formed
thumbs up.
some point. Does it say? I don't even know. It got formed. No fruits of that have ever been revealed.
January 24th, 2007.
Yeah, so
January of 2007. Did they? Is there? We're looking at Wikipedia. Does it have
3
any
years?
indication of?
Who's the chairman?
of Celius, I don't remember.
Kutaragi.
Ken Kutaragi is the chairman of Celius. And if anything, Namco Bandai has been like in bed with Microsoft the whole time. Every game has come out first on 360. Every single
So
one.
this is the organization that was formed when Kutaragi was shown the door.
Yeah. So who knows? Who knows? But it could be like, wow, here's 3 new Namco games that are exclusive to PS3.
And
3 games right now.
Yeah, so these 3 games were there was like 6 months ago, more than 6 months ago, there was this mysterious scan of these 3 games. It's on this Wikipedia page that was never deemed to be true or untrue. It's all still up in limbo. So if those 3 games are magically a TGS, that'll be really strange.
what do you mean magically? Like you can almost bet they'll be there now.
I don't know.
So there's 3.
I'm just putting that out there.
So there's
It's
3.
totally random.
Does Gran Turismo 5 doesn't count as an unannounced game? Does
I think it
does?
it's never really been.
They've never really
come the
announced
fuck
it.
on.
Just because they made one called Prologue doesn't mean they ever said that there was going to be a real one.
Right.
Whatever. How can you say that with a straight face?
But I mean, I would say Sony is very unpredictable.
I've been to a Sony press conference before.
Okay, so all right, I'll buy into that. All right.
I'm excited to see some PSP stuff from them, like Patapon 2 and Nokoroko 2. But who knows? Sony also has a lot of PSP stuff they could have. Who knows? Who knows? It's a mystery.
All right, so Nintendo, like you said, had... Wow, I did that, didn't I?
Nintendo what?
I totally did that. Nintendo did press conferences on both sides of the Pacific, and the big one, of course, was in Japan, where they finally came clean with what the Nikkei had rumored about the new DSi, new DS coming this fall. So I'm curious, like, we're going to talk about it some in the news segment. What do you guys think about the... I would put it this way. To me, the DSi is a response to Sony's strength of the PSP and the fact that Sony continues to iterate on the PSP with new incremental improvements on the device. But why does Nintendo feel the need to respond? Because they are in the driver's seat. They are the big winner.
It's a response to digital distribution, I believe.
Yeah.
Mainly because
It's all about... I mean,
I think they're just hitting limitations with their software all the time. Like, for all of us, I think there's just so much more that machine could
the camera's
with some
nice,
simple
but the
changes.
important thing is the SD slot.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
So this is far more a digital distribution move than it is an iPhone
Which is
response.
remarkably progressive of Nintendo to actually embrace something reasonably current when it comes to distribution.
I think the PlayStation Store for PSP, the PSP Store, it hasn't even launched it, right?
Right, yeah.
And the DSware store is launching in Japan in November. So it's
November 1st, you're going to be able to download Brain Age 1 and 2.
Right. So Nintendo's almost has parity now with PSP out of nowhere.
Yeah.
In terms of digital distribution.
I am kind of shocked that they're... I mean, you can tell where it's going now. Like, it's creeping towards being a phone.
Yeah. Well, but they even like Reggie
Not so
today was
subtly.
saying that
but
they're
it's
not trying to
like-
do the best
I'm kind of surprised
phone or
they
best
didn't go
music
all the
player
way.
or
Yeah.
best camera. They're just, for them, it's about
The camera's better
adding
than,
that
it's better than the
for-
iPhone camera,
It's
though.
a
I
3
think.
megapixel. Well, the
Anything
outside one
is
is a
better
3
than the
megapixel, and the
iPhone.
inside one is a VGA, right?
Right.
Oh, so it has both. So it has...
Yeah.
yeah. So
yeah.
it faces. I could take a picture of you and a picture of me.
And it'll do video. Essentially, it could do
However,
video
what do you guys
and you
think?
can. There's image editing.
What do you think about games that are for the camera, though? Which they've already said are going to exist. They're going to be DSi, camera-based games. That's splitting the market. If you have a DS Lite, you have a DS Fat, you can't play those games.
Well, I think the DSi, if you look at the capability of it, is right off the bat splitting the market because it's the only of the devices is going to be capable to do the downloadable games, correct?
Right. Well, there's nowhere to put them on them.
Right. So
Exactly.
I mean, you're immediately segmenting the market.
It's, I mean, they said
It
it
is
was
a
like
new device.
They said it was
yeah,
a
it's
new, it was a
DS2,
third.
like,
It is.
3, yeah.
Yeah, if
But more, like,
maybe those games should be
totally
download only
different
then,
beast.
because like if there's a retail DS game that won't play on your DS, that's
Right.
a problem. You know,
It was interesting. The positioning of it had a lot of. It sounded very similar to when they announced the DS in the first place. Do you remember the original, the very first press conference when they were
third pillar.
The third pillar. This is a set. This is another product, and they were very kind of like, we're just going to dabble in this and see what happens, and maybe we'll do another Game Boy. I don't know.
Rest in peace, Game Boy.
Right, but it was
Well, there's
big time
no
now.
slot,
Yeah,
no.
rest in
It's
peace,
done.
Speaking of rest in peace, Game
It's
Boy.
done.
Also, rest in peace, giant, successful, million-selling Guitar Hero on
I
tour.
spoke to Activision today.
This is John was just like instantly.
My first thing was because we've been looking at the MPDs and Guitar Hero on tour had sold really well
and
again.
a new one comes out in like
Yeah.
a month.
New one comes out in a month. So
Yeah, and it's
first,
killer in sales.
First
It's
email
doing
about
so
this was
well.
to Activision
Yeah.
to be like, so what are you going to do about Guitar Hero? And there was a very terse. I had this like list of 3 questions, and it was like, did you know about this before the announcement? There was this very terse. We can't comment on that right now. Kind of was like.
You've gotten that a lot this last.
Yeah, there's clearly some. I mean, what on tour is selling
Huge.
hundreds of thousands of copies every month.
Yeah, it's huge.
And it has since it launched in June, and it needs the GBA slot. But
Right.
that said, there are 80 million DSs in the world right now, and the DS Lite is going to be on sale for at least another year in the US.
Right, this thing DSi doesn't come out until 2009.
Right,
Some
and late 2009.
undisclosed.
That's such
time.
a staggering number that there are 80 million DSs out there.
They sold 110, 115 million Game Boys in the end.
And if you look at the
And the
trajectory,
DS is like way faster to
if
that
you look
point.
at the trajectory for how they're selling it, it's going to be unearthly the number of machines that they've sold by the time.
If you want to play Guitar Hero, there is an abundance of opportunity to play it on something. But
Right.
I think if you want a DS I keep forgetting what it's called, then there's going to be.
It gets so confusing. There's DSi and iPhone. And
imagine that.
I just remember DSi Miami.
And-
It's like CSI Miami.
I'm waiting for the MacBook Pro Chrome version of the DS.
But I mean, I think it was inevitable that they were going to start making it more of an all-in-one wonder device. And I think
it is better. The screens are bigger.
screens are bigger.
moderately.
Are you saying this as a play off of the news item that you had this week on What They Play regarding a potential new Wii successor?
Wii HD.
Yeah, I think Nintendo has learned from. I mean, everyone that we spoke that spoke to us about the Wii HD mentioned the Game Boy to Game Boy Advance transition as the kind of Nintendo historical touch point for this, and that their most successful transition was that, where they iterated on the hardware, they made it significantly more powerful, but made it fundamentally the same thing, and kept a very successful brand name. And they've never really done it on a home console before. I mean, there was the Nintendo Entertainment System to Super Nintendo Entertainment System, but they were fundamentally very different devices.
Right.
But I mean, I think what we're going to keep seeing with DS and Wii is continued iteration on. Nintendo is clearly embracing backwards compatibility and embracing its own history and its own culture as why Nintendo fans are so passionate about Nintendo is because we all have this bond to the history and the products. And if you're able to digitally distribute that product and spit it out to whatever device you make, you need to make sure that your devices are always compatible with each other.
Right.
And that when you iterate up, you can always do it. And I think we're fast going to, I mean, like the logical conclusion of this is you can go to the WiiWare store and you can go to the Virtual Console with whatever you have. And that there will eventually be a DS that can grab that same stuff. Because it's just a matter. I mean, the DS is way more powerful than the old Nintendo consoles.
When I read your story and we talked about it, it rang true for me because of thinking back to the GameCube days and the emphasis, and you could really see in a lot of the maybe not the PR people, but in the developers and the people who were excited about what they were doing, their eyes that they were very genuine about the desire to link the at the time Game Boy Advance through that Game Boy Advance connector to the GameCube.
Well, connectivity. What you're talking about, you saw the new Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles that was announced,
Right.
which is the same game on DS and Wii, the exact same game.
Yes. So I think that, and they sort of shelved that when they brought DS this out because they had so many other things going on. They've got a new control scheme. They've
But
tried to do some
handhelds
balance
is a
stuff.
window into a bigger world. We've seen it with the PSP and the PS3.
Yep.
We've seen it with the iPhone and the Apple TV, and I think that's only going to get more and more so, where these two devices hooked up through Wi-Fi and one thing can spit something out to another.
This reminds me also of the rumors of Little Big Planet for PSP. They make a lot of sense. You know.
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about
They
those.
really
We're
do.
going to talk about those.
And I think a lot of these things as well, we're going to start seeing the ideas that when Live Anywhere was announced, those ideas that never came to fruition, this idea of not replicating the experience but taking a slice of it and making it appropriate to the device. So you link this game on this handheld to this game on this console, and the handheld thing is it's like, you know, a sticker editor on PSP, or a, you know, something location based where it'll grab from the GPS and you can snap a picture and you can start doing geotagged Little Big Planet levels, things like that.
So, given areas of expertise and desires of the company, how much longer can Microsoft wait for a handheld that interfaces with 360?
I think it's going to be all phones. I think it's.
You think they'll just build it into Windows Mobile?
I think Windows Mobile
Yeah, I
is.
can't
If their
see
mobile
them
plays that, they can't
trying
afford to
to-
do another. But they're still muddling on with
They
Zune.
made a mess. Yeah.
Zune is tied in with NXE. Who the hell knew that? And when they took down
Actually,
Xbox Live,
they've talked about it about a year ago, how they've connected those services up.
well, we knew Live and Zune was connected, but the new Xbox experience is tied in with the Zune experience.
So what
they're
makes you think that the next iteration of the Zune hardware won't be to include some more advanced gaming capabilities? Considering we know that Zune has XNA compatibility, we know that they've already taken that step with the software development kit.
I think the inevitable thing there is a mashup of Windows Mobile and Zune into a consumer device as opposed to a business focused device, all feeding off Live, which they've established as their connected brand. And they've been talking, I mean, there was all the stuff leaked this week about Windows moving to the cloud. Did you see that? You know, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more hosted services, and you tap in with a device that can talk to it.
I mean, and besides, by the way, I think you're poo-pooing Zune a little bit too much. I mean, I have a
Zune. I think Zune is a device. Zune is a strategy. Is essentially being the entertainment, Microsoft's mobile entertainment thing. But I think as a completely carved out separate initiative, it seems a little foolish to kind of build. There's a bit of a wall between it and everything else, and there doesn't need to be.
So doesn't part of that arise from the way that they do development within the Microsoft, the bigger sphere of Microsoft, where they have these individual project teams and they're sort of developing their own things to see if they can sustain themselves and become something?
Right, you have these little pockets that don't talk to each other, and it's why, Xbox 360 wheels aren't configured properly to work with Forza when they're in the building right next to each other. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It is kind of absurd, isn't it?
Plus, their machines are ugly.
There's really there's no place in news to talk about it exactly. So I wanted to talk about the other things Nintendo announced at their event, which were all the games they announced. Because
Wow, they did
at E3, the big thing was, where are all the hardcore games? Well, they're coming, and they all got announced last night in Japan. Like, first of all, Punch-Out. Like, Punch-Out, everybody
I'm surprised you didn't go straight to Sin and Punishment.
I think Punch-Out's a bigger deal because, everybody wants a revival of an old franchise,
Right.
And here it is.
How long have people been asking for Punch-Out?
Forever.
I mean,
Forever.
yeah.
I mean,
7-8 years.
Yeah, so
at
Super
least?
Punch-Out was like 15 years ago, and like most people are happy because it has all the old characters. It looks a lot
Yeah,
like
it looks great.
Looks like Super Punch-Out,
Looks
emotional. Looks good. It has
Cool video of it, so you
cool
can
video.
check that
I
out.
think it
Game
looks
videos.
good. Then Sin and Punishment 2. I mean, like Treasure, the sequel to this fan favorite 3D shooter. that
Like super hardcore fan favorite.
super hardcore. It looks good. Like should work well with Wii controls.
Definitely.
Guaranteed coming to America next year. Very exciting.
Yeah, I liked that part. I liked that they didn't even do guaranteed coming to North America. Done. We're not going to tease you with it. They're not going to make it a big deal. It's just coming. Period.
Right, and then there are like 7 other games. I mean, not all of them have been announced for America. There were a lot of really crazy games. Have you seen the video of the Japanese games? Have you seen them all?
No, I haven't seen them all.
Endless Ocean 2 is in
Endless
there.
Ocean 2. There's one called Dynamic Blade. It's like a character action game. You're a girl with a sword fighting big monsters. Looks pretty good.
What was the space one with the jetpack?
That's called Cosmic Walker. It looks kind of interesting.
it looked
You're
really
like,
cool.
Yeah, it looks kind of futuristic, flying in space.
But it's got that kind of vaguely jet set radio
Yeah,
kind of aesthetic to
It's
it.
very stylized. There's another game. It's called like Line Battle something, where it's using Mii's and it's like a top-down action RPG. There's another game called Wand of Magic. It's like another sort of RTS action game. I mean, Nintendo just.
I like how he was doing the wand of magic with his
I don't
hand.
know, like I don't know where
Is
Nintendo.
that like lost in translation? Like
Nintendo.
magic wand? Wand of magic.
Kind of. So Nintendo up and announces like 8 games out of nowhere. Another one made by Artoon called like Super Spank Fun. I don't know. There's all these crazy games.
Hey-o.
And then for DS, there's a bunch of games too. There's a new game I'm excited about. You know the WarioWare series, right?
Right.
In Japan, it's called Made in Wario, and this game is called Made in Me. Like, and it's like it's like WarioWare, but you design the characters yourself, and it looks like you make the game yourself.
That's
Oh,
kind of
that
neat.
sounds cool.
That does sound very cool.
I don't know. Like, Nintendo went nuts last night, and everyone's really excited.
And is
'cause
this Mii's on DS?
No, it's not me.
Oh, okay. It's not that
Nintendo
kind of
did
Mii.
go nuts. Like they went
Nintendo
nuts.
went
Do you
nuts.
think that Nintendo of America knew that?
Oh,
Because it didn't seem like that today.
I kind of agree with you on that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they didn't announce as many things. Another thing they announced.
I'm not so sure they were very thrilled about DSi.
Did you see? Ray? He just held it there with his like smile.
Look at this thing they didn't tell me about.
And then, yeah, and he's just reading off the paper, and he's like, "This will be amazing." Then he just hid it in his pocket.
Oh, and there's another great game. It's not Nintendo published, but for Wii, it's the VanillaWare game. It's called like Oboro Murasame. It's a 2D action game. Looks phenomenal. Looks insane. I don't know. Nintendo just announced a ton of games. A lot of hardcore games. It's a reason to get excited about Wii again.
What's the chances that Nintendo at these 2 press conferences upstaged all of TGS?
Oh, it's possible.
It's possible. I mean, I think it's absolutely possible with
Didn't they show
hardware.
a drumming game as well that uses what was the drumming thing that had the like little stylized the drums with the faces on them?
Oh, Taiko. Yeah.
Yeah.
Taiko Drum Master Nintendo version with
Yeah.
Nintendo characters and Mario music and stuff.
Oh, cool.
That looked cool. I don't know. I think Nintendo, they definitely delivered in Japan.
They definitely delivered.
Not as much here in America, although the announcement of the GameCube games being repurposed for Wii, including Pikmin 1 and 2, Metroid Prime 1 and 2, and being sold again as Wii games, that's kind of weird.
Which, if you've never played either of the Pikmins, just go get Pikmin 2.
But it's great
Don't
that
miss it.
they're
Solo
like
was
properly
such a good game.
retooling them with Wii controls. I think
Yeah.
is really smart because I think a lot of people, particularly with Pikmin, everyone
be
has
perfect
been
on
like,
Wii.
wouldn't it be perfect if you could just
Yeah.
point
Oh
and
my
grab
gosh.
the things with the
And
controller?
they did pick good games. Also, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, that's a good game. So they did pick good games. I just hope the pricing is right. In Japan, it's more like $30-some. I think that's a little expensive.
Yeah.
The forums just lit up with Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. Somebody stop him.
It's a good game.
Okay.
Those guys went on to make Mario Sunshine.
Okay, they went on to make Mario
I
Sunshine.
mean, Galaxy.
Or Galaxy. That's great. They did a great job with that. I think you might find some contestants contesting points of view on that. All right.
That's all I got.
Wow, that was awesome. We have tons of stuff. So why don't we go take a break? We'll come back on the other side and we'll do news, which we'll get into the nuts and bolts of DSi stuff, and then we'll kind of fly through some of this other stuff. Stick around. We'll be right back with that. All right, we're ready to wrap that up with the Nintendo news. You have to have been here for the break. So Nintendo, as
I'm
we talked about,
corrupted.
did announce the new DS in Japan. That's the DSi. It features a new camera, both internally facing.
Are we in
for
a time
video
warp
chat.
from 5 minutes ago? Wait, didn't we just talk about this?
Right, I'm just going through it real quickly.
Oh, okay.
It's got onboard memory. It comes with a browser. It has larger screens.
It's a better browser. Is it still Opera based?
Yes, it's still Opera based.
But it's apparently way faster.
Yeah, apparently the whole Wi-Fi thing has been reworked.
So that fits right
Jiggered.
into that dovetails exactly into your whole premise of it being their baby steps towards being a phone. On the subject, like we were talking about, of downloadable content, Wii points are being renamed Nintendo points, and
Oh yes,
are being renamed.
yeah.
And Club Nintendo's coming here. We got that in a minute. But they're going to be now called Nintendo Points, and there will be DSware, much like WiiWare. It comes on 4 different price points: free, 200, 500, and premium content at 800 points. What else do we have on Nintendo front? Then we talked about Reggie.
Well, let's talk about Club Nintendo next because there's
Sure.
a nice point of
Hold on.
confusion connecting these.
All right, so let me pull that up right here. Club Nintendo.
So Club Nintendo loyalty program. Not everyone knows what it is. You buy things and interact with the community, and they reward you with Club Nintendo
So you do like a
points.
survey and
So if you ever
get
bought
Club Nintendo
a
points.
import Nintendo game, there's like this little card inside there, and you got like a bunch of points on that. It's
And
kind of
you
a-
use those points.
but
no,
this
you
is
got
where it
Club
gets
Nintendo
confusing.
points.
Club Nintendo
Right.
points are not Nintendo points.
No, Club Nintendo
Right,
points.
no, Nintendo points will be the value that will be real money with which you
Right.
will buy downloadable
they're Wii
content.
points.
Club
Right.
Nintendo points, you cash in for valuable prizes.
They're like
Or,
stamps.
if you want to, Nintendo points.
Oh,
really?
what's the
you can't- I
exchange?
didn't know
What's
about
the
that
exchange
part.
rate?
This is a little unclear because when it launched in Europe, you were able to buy 1,000 Nintendo points for 780 Club Nintendo points, which we believe was an error. But we now have basically 2-point systems. This is very similar to the problem that Microsoft have when early on when they were talking about doing a redemption system on your gamer score. Do you remember when they were talking about your score being having some value, and they very quickly got rid of that because it just confused the hell out of everybody. But so in Europe they're called stars to actually differentiate them, but the fact that we now have Nintendo points and Club Nintendo points, and one has financial value and the other one doesn't, except when it does.
Maybe they could get green clovers.
I just
we
hope
could have Lucky Charms.
I hope that the prizes they bring to America are as good as the ones in Japan, because
it's all exclusive. They've got some cool merchandise.
There've been 2 exclusive DS games. There've been really cool soundtracks and calendars and objects.
But they do like signed shit and T-shirts.
You got T-shirts. You have the regular kit, like T-shirts, hats, and keychains. And
I know they had
little screen cleaners.
They had Wiimotes that they would print your Mii on them for you. That was kind of cool.
Okay, that's really cool. I didn't know about that. That part's actually really cool.
So yeah, you can get a Super Famicom controller for your Wii. Also, cool stuff.
Oh, that's kind of awesome. So anyway, this is cool that it's finally coming to North America, and we're going to be excited about that.
Yeah.
Reggie, as we spoke about, did say that the DSi will not appear in North America until well into 2009. We did have a follow-up report on this later today, today being Thursday, so later day before, that it will be in Europe in, let me think real quick, I think the date was April. Was that what it was? April? It's spring.
I expect shortages all around. I think it'll be really hard to get in Japan this year. If you want one, pre-order it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when the thing hits in November, it's going to be usually sold out.
It sounds like we're not going to get it here until this time next year.
That is the concern. I mean, the concern is it won't be until holiday of next year. One of the, and as we noted, I was surprisingly honest of Reggie to say, hey, we don't need it here. DS is still selling like crazy. Not only is DS selling like crazy.
I didn't know we were doing it anyway. Yeah. No one fucking tells me anything.
Bastards. He noted that DS has been increasing not only steadily, but at a very strong rate. 22% increase in 2008 from last year's already. Record-setting numbers.
Did this come up today? Like, if there was ever a hardware market that didn't need
a new product,
a reinvigoration product, it's the DS.
Said that. He was like, we don't need it.
In North America. Now, I guess this is like we were talking about.
In Japan, it's taken a little bit of a beating from PSP this year.
I don't think it's a beating. I think that what it is they've been so dominant that they looked at it and said, well, if we bring another one out, we'll just roll right over them again. So why don't we do that? Let's just roll right over them. He also, in that same announcement at the San Francisco conference on Thursday morning, said that they will be shipping more DS and Wii units in October to the December timeframe this year than last year. So, I mean, we've been worried about hardware constrictions affecting their holiday sales. What does more mean, though? I mean,
well, it's also important.
Is it going to be? Are they going to be able to satisfy demand?
Probably not Wii. I think DS will, but DSi also.
What was Reggie's quote? Ask me in January.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty typical Reggie quote, isn't it?
For DSi, it's important that it be out in Japan for Christmas because there's big games like Phantasy Star Zero and in March Dragon Quest IX. I mean, it has to be out for those.
Well, and just for the Japan market, how much impact will it have that in November, beginning of kicking off the holiday season, there's going to be all over the web and all over the news pictures of people standing in lines, incredibly long lines to purchase the new Nintendo DSi.
Right.
That's a PR bonanza.
Of course.
And we already noted that the first downloadable games will be Brain Age. I don't really have anything else to say about that, I don't think. There have been already some interesting flags raised this one was raised by Martin Brown, who is the studio director of Team 17, who've done games such as Worms. He talked about the inclusion of the new SD card slot. While it makes much of sense, he says, while that makes a bunch of sense for downloadable content, given the way things are going, he warns that it might open the DS to even further piracy. This is building on the idea of right now there's a device called the R4. Not floor. The R4.
That Nintendo has fought violently
vigorously fought this, which is a flash-based rewritable storage device. I think the concern that Brown is pointing out here is that, hey, if you've already got this slot to put SD cards in, you're just basically building an interface for would-be pirates, to interface with your device.
I mean, Nintendo must have some amazing DRM. That's all we can think.
I would imagine that. I mean, we questioned with the Wii HD thing about what they were spending $370 million a year on compared to $34 million a year 5 years ago.
It's only a tenfold increase.
And, they clearly weren't spending that much to develop the Wii and the DS because it only bumped up to like $100 million around, sort of prior to launch. It's got to be the online distribution when you kind of think it through. I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm sure they're looking to the music industry as well.
DRM, massive kind of redundancy stuff in terms of supporting these services online. I mean, presumably we're going to see something along the lines of what it sounds like Sony is doing, and is eventually shifting the library entirely to online.
The only thing that makes me nervous about that, and it was brought up this week with Walmart shutting off its DRM servers for its music stores. I mean, what happens if they're using some sort of authenticated DRM system? Even if it's Nintendo, no matter who it is, you're ultimately tied to that indelibly. If you ever lose that connection, if you ever lose that ability to get authenticated,
then you're
shit out of luck.
You are just borrowing it from Nintendo.
Exactly. I still get upset about this. I do not think that there needs to be a better DRM solution. I don't know what it is. I don't have an argument against thwarting piracy, but I do have an argument against thwarting piracy when it becomes so intrusive and such a potential problem down the road to me when I buy something legitimately that I want to buy.
I would hope for this, that if there's an authentication DRM, I mean, presumably it's going to bond it to a device and it's going to do it once, because you're not going to be in a scenario where your DS is always connected.
Right. So what about the re-downloading thing? I mean, we talked about that last week.
Buy a lot of SD cards. They're really cheap now.
Which brings us to the point Shane brought up about in the break about the solution for storage on the Wii, being able to store stuff to the cards, but not execute off the cards.
Right. They finally announced the cleaning out the fridge problem that people had about where you're going to put all your WiiWare games, and now you can download them directly to your SD card. You just still can't execute them from there.
So you have to do lots of transferring back and forth. Like, it's not the end of the world, right?
At least now you don't have to move them twice,
So the only real kludginess of this then is that you have to go up to your Wii, put in your card, pop out your old card. So it's really not that bad. It's not that bad a solution,
It's
actually.
an improvement.
And then it's got to do whatever the install process is to internal memory.
Well, that shouldn't be so bad.
It's pretty slow.
So Sony have been down this path already, and I don't know if you remember, I mean, originally you couldn't execute anything off the PSP memory stick, and they slowly reeled that back in. I mean, for exactly this reason. I mean, their long-term strategy now is that's how you're going to run games. I mean, the new PSP store is going to be executing off the card.
My only question would be, and I'm not tech expert enough to answer this, how much bandwidth is there on an SD card interface? Can they execute programs off of it?
It's fairly fast, but I mean, more often than not, I mean, like with the PSP's case, it's pulling things in off a disc, which is slower. So,
okay.
I mean, I don't understand, but I've heard whatever technology is in the Wii isn't fast. That's what I've heard. Okay, so that could be a potential that's a hanging point as well. Yeah. All right.
They might want to do a new machine then, right?
When might that come out, John?
Maybe by 2011.
One thing you won't have to wait for will be the Wii Speak Channel, which will...
Oh, goody.
You're very down on this, aren't you?
This sounds like a complete waste of everybody's time.
I can't wait to throw my Bluetooth headset away so my mom can hear what's being said in my Animal Crossing game. That's really what this is about. It's so that people can hear what's going on in your game.
Yeah.
All right. So suffice it to say that you'll be able to download the Wii application for voice chat for free if you pick up the
affordable $40. Or is it 30?
30.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Enough of that.
It's another thing that you stack up on top of your TV. It's like you're slowly building this little tower of
sensor bars.
Sensor bar, and like in all the pictures, it's like a flat screen TV with a sensor bar and then the Wii Speak on top. But then the Wii Speak channel is like your disembodied me head, rolling around in this psychedelic backdrop, and then the heads are going sort of moving around and floating, and so there's a bunch of circles, which is your room, which it can detect up to 4. You can have 4 me's in your.
No, you can have 4 friends.
4 friends, right?
4 consoles,
yeah,
but you can all gather.
4 groups.
No, so what
friends,
you can do is you drag me's into your circle on the Wii Speak Channel thing, and that represents who's in the room and talking, and then you can have up to 4 of these psychedelic circles of disembodied me heads to represent
the best conference call for babies ever.
It's a conference call thing.
Isn't that what we're doing right now?
Conference call for babies.
We've had it all in this. We have disembodied me heads, limp sack boys. Who knows what's next? So that's all the Nintendo
stuff. It was
stuff.
a strange announcement I found.
Yeah.
Did we miss anything, Shane? You got anything else for Nintendo? Are we done? We're done with Nintendo?
I think we're good.
Nintendo was epic this week. So
they
moving
showed
on.
some good games, but we can't talk about them.
Moving on to other news. Oh, they did take What's that game we saw at Penny Arcade?
The Conduit. It's going to be out
Conduit,
next
yeah.
year. Yeah.
But they made it internal.
It
Yeah,
is
well,
first
it didn't
party.
have a publisher, so Nintendo's gonna...
We presume they would publish it when they showed it in their booth at PAX.
It looks pretty good.
It does look. You hated
You
it.
can't say that.
You hated it at PAX.
I thought you said it looked good.
I said it looked good. You're like, it looks bad. I'm Garnley.
Wait, why did I hate on it?
I think you were drunk.
Because it was
I
on
don't know.
Wii.
Yeah, that probably was. Yeah, I probably did hate on it because it was Wii. There you go.
Did you guys check out Rhythm Heaven at E3?
I did.
I did
and I'm
not.
bummed it doesn't come out until next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, that just reminded me of the weirdest game. Hold on, I gotta insert it. Yuji Naka.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Speaking of inserting it, it's called Let's Tap,
Let's tap.
and it's from Yuji Naka's new company Probe, published by Sega. Did you see this game?
Yeah.
You don't touch the Wiimote. You put
Obviously I
you
didn't.
set the Wiimote on a cardboard box and you tap the box to play.
What?
It's bizarre. It looks interesting.
Yeah.
It's a
How
bunch of mini games.
Right,
I don't-
but really strange.
I'm not really understanding.
You'll
this.
get to play it at TGS.
I set the remote
And
on a cardboard
tap.
box, and I tap the box. Well, how does it? Does it just register the vibration?
Yeah.
Of you tapping the box?
yeah.
I'm not sure the box is vital, but...
And then there's a lower priced WiiWare version. Allegedly, we'll see it at TGS.
But there's a bunch of there was like a guys running and jumping over things mini game, and there was like some bubble
Some
thing,
water,
and,
yeah,
and like fish in like looking at koi in a koi
Yeah.
pond, and I think you're tapping the water.
To get the koi's attention.
It's supposed to be
Just
very.
throw him some fish food.
It's supposed to be so simple that you don't even have to touch the controller.
so
That's the
simple.
whole.
Even my mom can use it.
So this is
Exactly.
taking the like dumbing down controls to the furthest possible extreme where you don't even have to touch
Like,
anything.
this game is so casual, a wayward breeze could play it.
I'm waiting.
For real.
I'm waiting for the Nintendo game that's like the clapper. You're just like, oh look, the
Hey.
game's on.
Don't give Miyamoto any ideas.
Game's off.
All right, moving on.
Obviously, based on Nintendo's jump into the online space, it continues to become a growing concern, and both the 360 and PS3 are well involved in that. On the 360, Microsoft owns Massive Inc., who does all of the in-game ad services for 360 games. It looks like IGA is quickly sealing up the PS3 side of those affairs. They signed a deal with Activision this week to do all of Activision's in-game integrated ads, and the first game that they'll have those ads in will be Guitar Hero World Tour. Forbes, as part of the report of this, noted that according to market research firm Parks Associates, in-games ad industry as a whole is expected to reach, you ready, by 2012, $800 million.
It'd be hard to do ads in Call of Duty because how many products are still around from the 40s? Some of them. I'm just saying.
We could do Tootsie Rolls.
So, I mean, this product placement thing, I don't know if you've been sort of watching the whole product placement industry right now, but there was a thing recently where apparently Ford was embarrassed by the amount of Ford product in Knight Rider and asked the producers to tone it down a bit.
I was embarrassed
Wow.
by the 2-minute clip of Knight Rider I saw on the
Yeah, it was a little
Oh my
embarrassing.
God.
It is a little embarrassing. We don't need to go too far into this, but
How did that show get picked up?
he turns into a pickup truck. What the fuck?
The car is, by the way,
Well,
the car is
I didn't know
awful
that.
now.
The guy who greenlit it was fired from NBC, right?
Yeah,
there you
and
go.
rightly so.
Day late, dollar
But anyway,
short.
so there's like overkill there, and I don't know if anyone watches. There's a show on the Sci-Fi Channel called Eureka, which is kind of a quirky. It's
Well, you have a lot of free time on your hands, don't you?
But this season they were sponsored by Degree deodorant. And
So there's gratuitous. I'm going to put on my deodorant now before I go out.
Well, exactly, and there was a part of the sponsorship agreement was there had to be an episode where the conclusion was the way that they got out of the scrape had to be related to Degree deodorant.
Man.
Are you fucking kidding me?
And it's interesting. You got the director and the.
Well, hold on. How is that plausible?
That's a good question.
So it was
The underarms of your shirt are remarkably dry. I must let you out of this prison cell.
It was way worse than that. It actually involved this like second sun being created, and they ended up having to squirt this deodorant solution into the atmosphere.
That's exact. I actually was going to say that as
Wow.
a suggestion. But
So
Yeah.
it's interesting if you go
like
to
I said, it's plausible.
What they did is they commissioned all of those planes that usually do like the fire retardant drops on wildfires, and they filled them with Degree, and they flew them over the bacteria side and
It's
dropped
interesting.
Degree.
So, and as a
Are you a
snapshot
writer?
of how
I am. It's
absurd
amazing.
this stuff has the potential to get, and games are well on the path towards this, is you should check out the Eureka blog where the production crew wrote a very long blog about the process between first being told this season is, this sci-fi show is sponsored by a deodorant. and how they chose to deal. So the way they chose to deal with it is by not trying to hide from it, and we're going to make a big joke out of it, and because it's about this sort of like research facility, and it's in this lab. So they did these fake commercials with the guys from the show presenting this degree deodorant that they created. But then when it got to you have to do a show where the sort of linchpin of the story is deodorant, and the whole writing crew was just like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. This is how far it's got. And it's like games are heading that way, where it's going to be like, you blow up the Death Star with,
but there are
Go ahead.
Gatorade.
There are in-game ads aren't all bad. I mean, it can be tastefully done. Like I thought the iPods and MGS4 were fine.
That kind of stuff is great, but I think it's rife with. I mean, it's already rife with abuse, and I think
it's definitely rife with abuse.
And I thought that the Sony Ericsson devices in Splinter Cell were very well, because when it fits, like he has a device, it should probably have a brand on it, as long as it's not like in a massive font, as long as it appears the way it would on a real device.
It's Little Big Planet when suddenly it's sponsored.
Well.
It hasn't yet, but it will.
It probably will.
There'll be a Pepsi level
But
this goes back to my Crazy Taxi argument. I always never had a problem with going
Pizza Hut and KFC
to going Kentucky Fried Chicken instead of Cluckies. I mean, I don't care. It's fine. Although Cluckies is pretty good. They cut my head off.
But that's appropriate. But if it gets to the point where it's like, we are going to fund the next round of development on this iterative product by teaming up with a sponsor who wants to own it.
Right.
And it gets to a point where, in order to get the funding that they require, they need to make concessions that go beyond what the artistic talent is comfortable with.
They cross the line into content, clearly. I mean, come on. The climax of the show has to be somehow driven by degree antiperspirant.
And if you want it to be different, you have to pay an extra $5 for that to be gone.
And I thought it was sad driving around Burnout Paradise and looking and going, oh, Circuit City billboard. Oh.
But it's been...
Or not Circuit City, Comp USA.
It's been 7 or 8 years since we had to go to a Sobe vending machine to put our health back in Oddworld, Abe's Munch's Odyssey.
But I mean, there have been areas where I think it's been tastefully done and it hasn't been jarring.
It doesn't
but I
feel
think
overdone.
Games aren't getting any cheaper to make, and there are these people that want to be involved with these things. I think it's only a matter of time before we get to the point where it's like, really, that's what we have to sit through now in order to play this thing.
That after spending $60.
And I think, I mean, right now with the way that Activision seems to be behaving in terms of, we're just going to milk the shit out of everything, and it's, what are we going to have to put up with in some of these products?
Coca-Cola presents Call of Duty 6.
I have this picture of a dude on the battlefield. Jam.
No, it's going to be
a Coke.
Call of Duty 6: The Cola Wars.
I'd play that. Hell.
Oh, dear.
Moving on.
Shaking of cans.
So recently, Sony integrated all of their organization by bringing Sony Online Entertainment into the greater Sony fold. Recently, John Smedley, who is the president of Sony Online Entertainment, was speaking. He was delivering the keynote at the New York Games Conference. There, he spoke to the viability of the PSP, which we were talking about, as an MMO platform.
I think I know the game they're going to do it with as well.
Which would be?
Free Realm.
That's exactly what he said, actually. So did you already read the quote?
No.
He said, so first of all, he says, in the future, we see full MMOs that are designed for the PSP. But he jumped forward a little bit. He says, maybe one way to do it, he's talking about incrementally and bringing the PSP into the MMO worlds. He said maybe one way to do it is in Free Realms. You could have a pet training system that literally connects to our online gaming where you can mess around with your pet.
They could do, I think,
more than that.
They could do the whole Free Realm on PSP. Because, I mean, part of the hook with Free Realm, it's another one of these
it's big, tweens. It's tweens targeted, right?
It's tweens targeted, but it's also, it's not like crazy processor and graphic intensive. I mean, it's very stylized and it'll run on just about anything. Mm-hmm. And I can't imagine it being a stretch to make it work on. I mean, I think the big problem with that, again, is it's storage of all the stuff and all the things that you do. It's got to aggregate all of your actions and stuff. It's going to be on the server, but there's a lot of stuff it needs to do locally. So again, the memory stick on the PSP is going to be a major factor in a product like that.
I was somewhat surprised, speaking of the memory stick on the PSP, with the new version that's coming out this fall, which is bundled. The default bundle includes
4 gig.
A 4 gig stick. I was somewhat surprised that they weren't just incorporating it directly into the hardware.
mean,
I think 4 gigs not enough.
Yeah.
No, I
You're
meant
supposed
directly
to be
including
bigger.
that much and then leaving the slot.
Then leaving the slot.
Leaving the slot open.
It automatically works with your PS3. You can put that in your PS3. So I don't
That's
know.
good. That's a good point. All right. It also works with your camera or whatever.
All
other
your
device you
Sony
have. All of your
electronics.
Sony electronics.
So do we think the 3000 is the last UMD PSP? Is that seems to
God,
be
it has to be, doesn't it?
I mean, if what they say is what I hear is true, and that everything next year is gonna be downloadable, I think maybe
then
it is.
UMD and someone, I don't know if it was just people hypothesizing, but wasn't there talk of some kind of proof of purchase on if you have the UMD version, you would get a credit on a download, or they were working on some kind of
That'd be cool.
UPC code
That's the way
based
it
proof
should
of
be.
purchase.
That'd
I
be
already
cool.
own this game. I should be able to download it again.
Exactly.
I would fully support
Yeah.
that. And you were talking about the sales of PSP being so strong. One of the things that Smedley pointed out was that he said, I think PSP is something that we're definitely looking at. 34 million sold worldwide really opens your eyes. So, I mean, if the thing keeps on selling, obviously everybody's going to look at it,
And
including...
it's still, as a handheld, the shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, nothing can touch it in terms of graphics and sound.
If you play a lot of DS and you go back to PSP, you're like, oh, this is really high tech.
Yeah, I was
I can hear
playing
things.
Buzz. I mean, just like the quality of the graphics, just on the Buzz character and just the way everything. I mean, it is vastly superior to what you get on a DS.
Absolutely. Which is exactly why the comments made by Mark Healy to Eurogamer TV about the viability of Little Big Planet on PSP really shouldn't come as too much of a surprise. He said there's definitely scope for a PSP version, which, I mean, for those who aren't perfectly versed in development community, means scope means that they've already sat down and potentially laid out what would PSP version of Little Big Planet look like? What's the scope of the project? And he goes on to say, we've had discussions and talks, but nothing concrete at the moment. I would say maybe nothing concrete at the moment to announce right now.
I mean,
Don't you think?
I wonder if Media Molecule wouldn't have time to do it themselves. They have someone else work on it, and there'd be some interoperability. It wouldn't be the exact same thing between them.
We
Well,
actually
we'll
didn't
see.
bring out that quote, but that was one of the things that Mark
Yeah.
Healy went on to talk about, was how this would be an opportunity for them potentially to outsource something. I think if they were going to outsource, it would have to be something. I mean, I can't see them outsourcing from Guildford to North America.
But
I mean,
there are a couple of Sony's studios in the UK that I have no idea what they're working on right now.
right. I mean, you know, their projects have been shelved.
Yeah.
So what the hell are they doing? That would be. I think it would be perfect for them. What else did I have on here? One of the things he brought up was that he'd like to give players the ability to create their own music and then import that into the game, and that's something they could interestingly do.
It's
on
one of the most
handheld.
requested features in Little Big Planet.
Again, that's where the service part of LBP really comes in. I mean, you get, especially if you start developing community, plus you got people walking around with PSPs in their hands, and then they're making stuff and importing it back and forth. So much that they could do there. We have confirmation finally from Microsoft that our friend Mr. Ryan Payton has actually joined the team at Microsoft. Shocking surprise.
The Halo team.
The Halo team. No,
Halo team?
A Halo team.
A Halo team.
Because there are 4 Halo teams. So there were originally rumors that he was joining the Peter Jackson helmed game, but Microsoft refused to comment on that. All they said was that Ryan has joined the team. The Game Studios head Phil Spencer confirmed that.
Is he on Halo Kart or Halo Party?
I think it's on Halo Babies.
Oh, okay.
Oh dear, he's on Halo Racing.
Okay.
Halo Kart Racing.
Didn't I already make
You
that
said
joke?
Halo
He
Kart.
did. But Ryan Payton isn't the only addition to a Halo team.
Right, so that was the other thing. Spencer ticked off a bunch of other names, including while people may not click to this very quickly, Corinne Yu, who I trace Corinne back very far. She was one of the people who worked on one of the many versions of Prey back in the day. Matter of fact,
Which you love.
and evidently, of all the versions of Prey, she was the one who came closest to getting portals to actually work the way portals were originally promised, and not just individual spots. Very, very, very intelligent programmer, very up on her stuff.
She's awesome.
Isn't she married to someone important too?
Her husband Kenneth Scott, who also is an id Software person. He's an artist. They've come over, and they also have Full Auto tech director David Wu, all working with.
He's actually he's a really smart guy.
Yeah.
And he's also the biggest Asian man I've ever met in my entire life.
Well,
He's huge.
all of them working with Frankie. So obviously, Halo is going to continue to be a growing concern for them. Big surprise. They're going to keep on crunching out Halo games, and that'll be a good news for all the people who are picking up 360s in Europe, where, according to Chart Track, numbers released on the 30th of September indicate that the price drop on the 360 has increased their sales 214% in 2 weeks.
Is that UK or Europe as a whole?
Chart Track is UK. However, they also touched on the touched on the European sales. Chris Lewis, who's the vice president of the Interactive Entertainment Business EMEA, said this data shows that the Xbox 360 trajectory continues upwards, and it's not just in the UK. We've seen uplift in all countries in Europe and are confident that even at this rate of growth, we can keep retail satisfied with a steady supply of consoles through Christmas.
Because 360 has been popular in UK all along, so
right.
A little bit of
the big difference.
A little bit of a spin there.
It was. They're definitely spinning. I mean, I have no argument that they're spinning, but dropping the price to £130. I mean,
and I've heard some retailers are even going lower. One chain is going like £99 on it. I just read that today. Yeah,
£100 for a 360, even if it's like the arcade version.
It is the arcade version.
That's
still.
Can you get me one when you're there next?
Will it work?
That's like $300. If you,
I guess
our currency sucks.
It's like $200. Actually, it's less than $200 because the pound weakened a little bit against the dollar. So that's not a bad deal.
Not a bad deal. Yeah.
Especially not when you look at like how often things are grossly inflated in the UK. I mean, I had that big eye-opening experience of going there and seeing how much stuff costs.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Phil Spencer on the Microsoft front, he is, what is his title? He's head of Microsoft Game Studio, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. He was speaking with GameIndustry.biz in regards to Lionhead and Rare both being safe from closures in the wake of concerns after they shut down Ensemble.
What do you think he's going to say? We might close those too.
No. So he
good idea.
You never know.
We've not thought of that. Awesome.
He went a little further than that. I was surprised, actually, that he was confirming on Lionhead, because Lionhead, of course, has just been through Fable and Fable 2. You have to figure there are a lot of guys there who are, tired and they need to take a little time off and get restructured, of course. In talking to Peter, he already was hinting at their next game being something you could write the design document on a postage stamp, and evidently that game is going to be a Microsoft Game Studios game. Spencer said that the productivity and effort in those two studios is just great to see. That's Lionhead and Rare. And the number of studio resources we have in the UK, this is our largest concentration of studio resources anywhere on the planet. These studios and the franchises remain a very important part of our success. Lionhead in particular has more plans with the studio in the near future. The next Lionhead game is definitely an MGS game. Interesting that they already bought in on it, especially since it could all be written on a postage
stamp.
stamp.
Development studio. Would you ever work on a game that you could write the design doc on a postage stamp? There's not much direction.
Yeah, it's
just says fun.
Fun. That's actually this game should be fun. It's a good idea. I like fun. Fun's a good idea.
I have really big handwriting too, so
yours would just say
F-U. That's all I got. F-U.
it'd be a great game. I mean, I'm all for simplified game design, but I think, that's Peter. He's very dramatic.
Yes.
Spencer also danced a little bit around
on it.
Wow, that's kind of creepy. That's actually very creepy. I think Kathy should be like her.
Yeah, I'm not doing Kathy.
Spencer also danced a little bit around the ensemble subject. Basically, he explained his explanation of why they talked about the upcoming closure was that they didn't want to mislead anybody who was there. They wanted to have it out in the open because they did not feel that it would be appropriate to have those guys working hard to finish Halo Wars and not know that there was, as he put it, and to do that with some false premise or relationship between them and us. I didn't think that was right. So this obviously has been something that's been coming for a long while as far as MGS was concerned. Closing Ensemble, not something they just came up with yesterday. EA has not been reluctant to close down projects. They recently struck another blow to the LA studios.
I think I talked about this on this podcast a few weeks ago.
You did.
I was right.
You were right. They are shutting down the Tiberium program very unceremoniously.
This concept just can't catch a break, right? This is the second time they've killed this idea.
EA LA executive producer Mike Verdu said that it's with heavy heart that I announce an end to all work on Tiberium effective immediately. He says the project had fundamental design challenges from the start. We fought to correct the issues, but we were not successful. The game just isn't coming together and well enough to meet our own quality expectations as well as those of our consumers. While EA LA, the real-time strategy guys there, obviously they have Red Alert upcoming, which we've seen recently. I think Red Alert looks really good. I think it's going to be a fun game. I think it's going to click. But this is also where the Medal of Honor team is, which the last time out was...
I don't understand why they can't make this idea. I mean, because what was the original one called? It was called Renegade, right? They got canned. It's like you have this fully fleshed out, very deep universe with
characters,
and units and history and everything already existing, and you got a bunch of guys that have already worked on a lot of first-person shooters.
So I'm going to politely just say what you should do is go to the Gamasutra story on this and read the comments.
There's some interesting.
There's some very interesting and telling comments, and I'm not going to talk about
like
because it's just kind of
about like content issues in the game and fights they had and
content issues in the games and the caliber of hires around there and how people were promoted, and it's ugly.
I mean, it's ugly. This situation at EA LA also further worries me about the awesome sounding Steven Spielberg game, like LMNO PR, whatever it was called, the one that was like
LMNO PRQ,
the one that was in USA Today 2 E3s ago. That is North by Northwest meets Eco. That sounded awesome. That I've heard since then is completely collapsed. So. We'll see what happens.
And all I would say about the Kama Sutra piece is, do take that with a grain of salt. These are folks, there's no guarantee that they even have anything to do with EALA, and B, if they do, they're folks who've just lost their project, which does suck.
Yeah, big time.
The studio just can't catch a break.
It really can't.
Boomblocks is good.
Yeah, and it didn't catch a break at sales. And honestly, is Red Alert going to catch a break at sales? I mean, PC game space, it's going to be a tight market.
I do like the sense of humor that they've developed about it, though. Did you see the extended trailer where they did? It's like this weird hip hop mix of
I haven't.
Outtakes from the vocal sessions. And it's like a bunch of B and C list actors,
right?
Like goofing around, and then they sampled them and put it to a drum beat, and it's like 3 minutes long. It's actually really cool, and they're actually using it as one because EA's doing like these sort of very YouTubey like viral trailers for a lot of stuff. But you should check it out.
Well, I think Red Alert could be a surprise PC hit this fall. Just the 3 factions and the amphibious combat that you can do, where the bases pick up on some factions and can go into. Anyway, it's really cool. It's very tactical. It's a very cool game. It's a shame that can't catch a break with Tiberium. And then also in EA news, they have signed another filmmaker deal, this time with Zack Snyder of 300 and Watchmen directing fame. Variety's Cutscene blog reports that the deal with Snyder is for 3 games, that all of the ownership and earning rights will go to EA to the games, and that Snyder in turn gets all of the potential film
What
rights.
do they hope to gain from this? I mean, honestly, on the Spielberg
he's very handsome.
thing too,
Look, he's very cute.
He's a handsome man,
look,
and
beautiful.
he's like, I mean, his sense of loyalty to the franchises that he chooses to do. I mean, what he did with 300 was awesome, and what he
Dawn of
appears
the
to be
Dead was awesome,
and what he appears to be doing with Watchmen is all. I mean, like in the movie space,
Watchmen is cool. I have to say, 300 I watched the other night, didn't age so well.
But what is the possible benefit? I mean, apart of putting Zack
When has
Snyder's
this ever
whatever.
worked?
I mean, what does EA stand to gain from giving him a substantial amount of money as they gave? I mean, they gave Spielberg, what was it, $10 million for Boomblocks?
Spielberg, then
right?
Was it N Guy who wrote an editorial piece within the last month or so about the dawning of the age of directorially name branded products? I kind of building on the whole Will Wright phenomenon of Will Wright's Sims, Will Wright's this.
Well, that I get because they came out of the industry, but like, I mean, all due respect to Zack Snyder, but who the fuck cares when it's a video game with his name on it?
But that's what I'm saying. The general population does. They're trading on his name.
But Steven Spielberg's Boomblocks.
But they didn't. But you know what? They didn't really brand it as Steven Spielberg's Boomblocks. They just
his name's on the box.
His name is on the box.
But they. Okay, it didn't come across well in the marketing. Then they didn't do a good job of marketing it as Steven Spielberg's Boomblocks. They marketed it as Boomblocks because that's what I got out of it.
It makes no sense.
We should be building up our own.
I would also say that Zack Snyder, not a household
We should
name.
be building
not a
up our
household
own.
name.
Yeah.
Because
I agree with that 100%.
You go talk to a lot of the way that they plan the strategy on these things, and it's like, games are collaborative, and we don't want to put anyone's name on the box because it's all about the team, it's not about the individual. So what, we go to the movie industry and we give one of those guys $10 million. It's not going to the team.
Done in the industry,
so we can put his name on the box.
When there's Michael Bay's Splinter Cell, you'll be excited.
There'll be a lot of explosions in it.
And a lot of broken camera and like, oh my God, what just happened? I have no idea how this scene was set. Maybe because EA had money burning a hole in their pocket since the Take-Two deal is done. And actually now Take-Two has completely closed off the idea of any sort of strategic alternatives for the time being. A press release from Thursday from Take-Two says that their board of directors has determined that it is in best interest of stockholders to conclude its review of strategic alternatives and to continue operating and building Take-Two as an independent company. Strauss Zelnick had some...
the footnote being, because we are going to make a fuck ton of money off Chinatown Wars.
Yeah.
Right.
Which cost us nothing and will make us a fortune.
Yeah, DS development, not terribly expensive.
Yeah, when I finally saw the graphics of that, I was like, oh.
Reminded me of Syndicate.
Well, that's pretty high praise, actually. Let's not lump those two together. Did I tell you that Peter told me that he always wanted to do more Syndicate?
He should. It was a great game.
Yeah, he was a he really liked that game a lot. Anyway, they noted that in addition to the
postage stamp.
Syndicate postage stamp, I don't think Syndicate's too complex. Although anyway, they noted that in addition to the powerful Grand Theft Auto franchise, they have 15 other wholly owned brands with sales of more than 1 million units each.
Do they still own Max Payne?
Yes.
And there were some rumors that a third Max Payne's...
It's totally been substantiated by like 3 independent sources now that it's being made by the team that made the Warriors.
Which they did a good job with the Warriors. Warriors, way unknown, underrated game. It was pretty good. I remember you, Andrew, you played that, right? You loved
Warriors
it.
Was good, yeah.
That was a good movie.
Very
Work
good.
off of.
Whatever happened to L.A. Noire?
Still being made next year.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But that's not one of their 15...
No, but things like
1 million selling each.
Yeah, but they've
Carnival
got a lot of-
Games,
yeah, that's the
Smuggler's
thing. They've
Run.
got Carnival Games mini golf.
NBA 2K sells
Yeah.
decently.
Oh, right.
Civilization.
Definitely.
Civilization.
They
Civilization.
have a lot. Don't worry about
They
it.
do have a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, so this like...
BioShock.
Oh, yeah.
Bioshock.
And, okay.
Yeah, they don't
I believe
have
it.
to worry.
They're actually in pretty good shape for a mid-range publisher. And so, by the way, they also noted that they have a ton of... well, actually, they have no debt, and they have a untouched $140 million credit line to draw from. So they're in good shape. Also in good shape is MTV Music Games. They have signed a deal with Walmart.
This deal sucks.
It does for consumers. It sucks. I would agree with you 100%.
It sucks.
So they finally, everyone's excited about AC/DC. There's 2 sides to this. First, the AC/DC that's coming to Rock Band is all live, and I'm still a little skeptical of live songs in performance. I mean, you want to play the studio song, right? I mean, live
Live versions might have better solos.
I don't know. I kind of like the vibe of the live stuff with the cheering and I mean the fact that the crowd and everything. Because you're playing live, right?
I think you'd rather have like this is a set of like live.
You're not really playing shit.
No, but isn't
aping the game.
Isn't the idea that you are a rock star on stage in a club or eventually in a stadium in front of a crowd?
And honestly, when you're listening to AC/DC, isn't it usually in a really loud place?
Well, that's true. Okay, that is true. Yes.
So
I agree
it's
with
kind
you.
of a weird thing to listen to.
Or are you at your desk like really quiet?
Yeah.
So is this
Took me all night long.
is this an assortment of like is this like a greatest hits pack?
That was so awesome.
That was pretty good. Garnet, is this a greatest hits pack or is this live versions of their new Walmart exclusive LP Black
It's
Ice?
from the Castle Donington set in like 1991 or something.
That is
right?
exactly right.
Nice.
You are correct. And
I
this
think I was there.
Are you going to go to Walmart to purchase Black Ice exclusively available at Walmart?
I don't know where the nearest Walmart is.
Well, I like how you brought this up. I mean, what Shane's talking
What are they
about
gonna do
speaks
to-
to how Walmart has
Where
been.
Walmart is.
They've been really flexing their retail muscle in the music space by securing these disc-based
I
exclusives.
mean, Eagles and Garth Brooks, it's huge.
And
Huge.
Now they're and allegedly Chinese democracy.
No, that's Best Buy.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, so it's Best Buy. All right. So anyway, this is going on in the music business. They're bringing it into obviously the video game business. These songs. One thing that, well, first of all, they're not going to be available online. They're also not going to be available ever.
It's a
And they're not-
disc.
It's a
you
disc.
can't play them online.
The only
can't
thing you
play
can
them
do,
online.
The only thing you do is you can take the disc and put it into your system if you have Rock Band 1 and 2 and import it so you can play them locally on Rock Band and 1 and 2. But they'll never be available as downloadable content either. The only place you can get these games will be Walmart and Sam's Club.
I think the fact you can't play them online is annoying, personally.
Yeah, it's
Anyway,
not that
That's
great.
just gimmicky.
yeah, it's a weird turn.
It is like the soundtrack. If you're an AC/DC fan, is pretty fucking astoundingly awesome. Though Shoot to
Pretty
Thrill,
fucking savvy of Walmart.
Back in Black.
You got to admire the stones of the Walmart guys pitching that and getting it.
Does it have Thunderstruck?
it has
Oh,
Thunderstruck.
I like that song.
It has the Jack, which is I fucking love the Jack. Such an awesome song. TNT.
I think,
You shook
in fact,
me, Let
I
There Be
was
Rock, Highway to
definitely at
Hell.
this gig,
Hell's Bells.
1991.
It says everything.
You were
I was
there.
19. I was there.
You could probably hear John in the audience.
Hear me.
Be like, blimey, it's great.
Yes. Go blimey, Governor. AC/DC fucking rocks.
Gobsmacking, good stuff. That's my John impression.
Bang on.
I was living in London at the time. I was very cockney.
Really?
Actually, at 19, no, I wasn't.
Did you have long hair?
Very.
Oh, have you seen?
You've seen
I've
the
seen
Oh
it.
my god, those
I've seen
pictures
the
are
picture.
When I
awesome.
met Johnny, he had long hair, and he was playing a guitar on a beanbag.
Jonna's a rocker with the like white patent shoes and everything. It's awesome, fucking awesome. There's a turn of tables then on the Rock Band front. Rock Band 2, it was confirmed in a USA Today story that it will have all of the downloadable and online functionality as the 360 and PS3 version. That includes song downloads and internet multiplayer mode on the
Wow.
Wii.
So what was the deal with the USA Today story that broke, that said it didn't?
I have no idea.
Do you remember there was like all the fuss at the beginning of the week? USA Today ran a story that said the Wii version was essentially a really gimped version, and then they like
that's not a bad strategy for news. We should just like put out stuff that's like very insulting.
And then they withdrew it.
And then withdraw it and say, oh, well, now we have the real story.
Yeah. And so you get it twice.
But sorry, PS2.
We should be doing that.
PS2 does not.
You should just make shit up like, new Wii's and stuff.
But they didn't add it to PS2.
Right,
PS2 is still totally offline.
Really?
Yeah. Makes sense. I mean, who has network adapters anyway?
Well, doesn't every single
I had,
PS2
like,
that's
3.
sold have one built in?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sadly, the PS2 does no online connectivity. And then finally, on the Rock Band front, the original Rock Band songs will also not be offered as downloadable content in the future. Kotaku reported via Variety that MTV wants to keep publishing the original game, quote, indefinitely.
Did Variety remind us several times how much better they are at being games journalists than everybody else in that story?
Wow. A little vitriol there.
Now who's grumpy?
Do you need another bottle of wine?
Yeah.
All right, we'll take care of that
Getting
later.
a little tired of that.
Sorry. Anyway, so you'll be able to. So I guess the upshot here is, if you want Rock Band and you see it out there on eBay or whatever, buy the used version, because $20 or $30 on a used version of Rock Band is the way you're going to get those songs. You're not going to be able to get them through DLC. And on the other end of the spectrum from that would be the way Steam continues to dominate the PC market by supporting gamers and taking care of them. In this case, they've now begun supporting source modes directly through Steam,
Mods.
which... What did I say?
Modes.
Wow. I shouldn't drink any more wine, obviously. They've begun supporting mods directly through Steam. And what's cool about this, besides the fact that the mods were already easy to get. You just go and download them. But of course, the beauty of the Steam system is every time you fire up the Steam client, everything you have installed automatically updates. So as these guys are working on their mods, all they have to do is push the update over to the Steam service, and you get the update every time you go and play. You're always up to date.
The whole industry needs to be taking a good hard look at what these guys are doing on Steam.
Dude, they kill. They are by far the best.
It's like, what do people want? All right, let's do that.
What's interesting
Yeah.
is...
It's not fucking
I
rocket
think about-
science, but it seems to be working pretty well.
You know what's awesome about having done yours for so long is, Andrew, do you remember when we were first doing yours, Steam was like in its very infancy, and all we did during the news section of yours was stories about how awful Steam was. It was like a resource hog.
I remember you hating Steam.
It didn't launch well. It was a resource hog. It had crash problems. Everyone was concerned about it, and now it's like the golden child. Way to step up your game, Valve. I mean, they really fixed it. So, by the way, the 5 mods at release are Age of Chivalry, DIPRIP, Insurgency, Zombie Panic, and Synergy. So there you go. Check out some mods on Steam with Source. We reached the end of the show, gentlemen and lady. So it was awesome having you here. You should come back and join us
I would
whenever
love
you're
to
in
do
town.
that. Sure. I'll be here anytime.
We'll bring something better than just Merlot next time, maybe. I don't know. You and I will be in Japan next week. We're going to figure out something to record over there. I have a number of folks who'd like to be on the show with us, so we're in great shape for that. We just have to figure out how the hell we're going to do it.
It's a bag of equipment you got to carry.
Can I come in the bag of equipment suitcase?
I'd much rather bring Zoe in the suitcase than the equipment. I don't know if I have space for the equipment, so I don't know. We may have to sort
Are
something
you
out over
carrying
there.
2 bags already?
I'm checking a bag and carrying 1 light carry-on.
Which is a bag of liquor.
No, I don't even have to take liquor. They got great liquor there. We're in good shape there. Anyway, you know where to catch us, boards.oneup.com. And there, hey, weekend confirmed. Glad to do that for you. Hopefully next week. Andrew, are you going to do a show here? Are we going to send you pieces? Have we even figured this out?
No fucking idea.
We have no fucking clue, folks. So tell us what you'd like next week, and it'll be build a show.
What?
Yeah, have them tell us. They could tell us what we want, right?
They can tell us.
Yeah, and you'll make it for them, right?
We can always just make the video guys. Hey, Garnet, we can always make the video guys tape us for like 2 hours. That'll be great.
That would actually.
They'd love that.
They would adore that, and then we'll just send the audio
that.
file over. All right, well, we'll sort something out. Until
That
then,
appears to have Skip's vote of approval.
Ryan will love it.
Ryan.
We'll send a telegram. It'll be great.
All right. For Andrew and Shane and John and Zoe, thank you very much for joining us. This is Garnet. Until next week, we are Ghost.